Good morning and welcome to our 124th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is this is an AMA, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions. You can ask me personal questions. You can ask me career questions. And within several hours of this call being completed, what my wonderful staff does is they put together a list of all the questions asked at what times, and they put it in the description field. Pardon me. So all you have to do is go to the description field of this YouTube video within a couple hours of it being done, and then you can click to get immediate access so I can save you time. So without further ado, let's begin. And thank you as always. You'll notice I'm doing something a little bit different today. I found that the whole sitting down notion of me for the first 123 or so episodes was getting a little bit stale. So I wanted to push the goalpost out, so to speak, by trying something new. Now, this here is the same headset that Tony Robbins, I'm not anywhere in his category, please, but it's the same headset that Tony Robbins uses when he does his webinars and his live presentations. And I found that whenever I used to teach in classes at San Francisco State or guest lecture at Stanford Graduate School of Business, Berkeley, whatever, give TEDx talks or speeches all over the world, I found that I was much more passionate when I was standing. And I would actually take 10,000 steps in a couple of hours when I used to teach during the evenings. Because I would walk around the class. I had these massive classrooms at universities. It was fun for me. The media made fun of me for it in a speech I gave in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was a keynote at a Friends of Finance seminar. It's a monthly thing, and Warren Buffett gave it 1 month. I gave it another month as well. Clearly, I'm not in the same league as him, but the newspapers in Tulsa made fun of me. It was funny. I loved it because I love laughing at myself. They made fun of me for moving around a lot. But I do believe that, as Tony Robbins says, motion does create emotion. Okay, so let's begin now. So I've got this $27 wireless mouse. Actually, it works out pretty well. So I can actually take questions here and scroll at the same time. And if you're, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, you guys know that. But if you're curious about how I set this room up and how I'm changing angles, and I pride myself on being an army of one whenever I teach, and I'm here by myself in the studio because I want to be able to teach my students how to do what I do. But let me make the mistakes first. And so when it comes to changing camera angles, I step on these pedals. And they're really cheap pedals you can buy anywhere, and all you do is you map certain keys on your keyboard. Or on your computer, it's like a keyboard. And I got the idea from my mother, who I love her so much. She used to use this Bernina sewing machine with pedals, and so I've set this up. This is a little bit new for me, this whole standing and walking around thing, but I'm going to give it a shot here. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's get to the important part, which is my students, my customers. Okay, first up, I've got Kartik, who's saying, hey, Chris. Hey, Kartik. Can you please tell me when the application process starts for MBA colleges if I want to do it in 2022? Also, is 1 year experience enough to get admission into a good college? Yeah. So what I would say is if you want to apply to a traditional business school, I have a course actually on Udemy called How to Get into the Top MBA Schools. Now, I'm very biased when it comes to this because I really do believe that business schools, cost a fortune, and they don't really teach you the most important concepts to help you in business, like how to sell, how to network, how to get customers, how to write a business plan, how to start a company, how to manage other people's money. That's right. They teach you how to manage, or how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money, but not your own. But I will help you. Okay, so what you should do is you want to apply as early as possible to get into any type of university for that matter. I'll make this answer generic enough so it applies to everybody who wants to go to university. Okay, so you want to apply as early as possible. And like with all situations in business or education or in life, you always have to think of things from the other person's perspective. What does this mean? Well, if you're being admitted to a university or you're applying to a great university, you have to think like the admissions director. So how do they think? Well, they think and they know that a lot of times students learn more or a lot from each other compared to what they learn from the teacher. And so they want to have a really diverse student body. So what does that mean? Well, you want to be able to talk about in your essays just the breadth and depth of diversity that you have in terms of your experiences. So for me, for example, when I applied to business school 8 billion years ago, I graduated from Columbia University in 2000. What I did actually was I talked about my experiences living in Cuba, because I knew this would differentiate me, and that no American that was applying, and I was Canadian at the time, I still am very proud to be Canadian, but no American would be allowed to go to Cuba at that point in time. So it was a bit of a risk, but it helped to diversify the student body, and it differentiated me as well. Now, you also want to apply to any university you want to get into as early as possible, okay? Because the way it works, and again, we're going to put ourselves in the mindset of an admissions director. The way it works is that there's a certain number of spots available, and if you apply at the last second, it's harder to get in because there's what's called a rolling admissions process. What does that mean? Well, that means that they have a large number of seats available for people that apply early that show interest. So you want to apply the second you're allowed to apply, usually September for the following year. You can start to apply. Sometimes a little bit earlier for earlier admissions. Now, there's a great book that I want you to read, and all of you to read if you want to go to a university or even a business school. And that book is by a husband and wife team, and their last name is Carpenter. And it's called Marketing Yourself to the Top Business Schools. Now, it's 140 pages long. It's 9 inches by 6 inches, and it's quite short, and the margins are large. And so what you want to do is take it with you on a walk. This is what I did when I applied to business school. I actually took it on the golf course with me. I played around by myself. And in between holes, I would write in the margins, just answer questions about, what may be different from other applicants. You also want to make sure you visit the school, okay, and write that in your application as well to show that you're interested in the school. This is not just your safety school, so to speak. And if you can, try to network to meet alumni that went to that school, so that they could tell you what a day in life is like, and even mention that in your essays if you want to. Now, I have a book called Networking to Get Customers, a Job, or Anything You Want. You can go to my website, which is harounventures.com, to download it. It's free. It's a couple hundred pages. And I teach you how to get a meeting with almost anybody. It's a lot easier than you think. All you have to do is ask. Okay. All right. And then you wrote here, is 1 year enough to get into a good college? So when you're talking about business schools, so the traditional old school business schools that don't prepare you for a great career in business, in my humble opinion, those ones usually require 4 years. Yeah. Next question is on the GMAT, which is like the SAT, but for business school, of course. You wrote, when should I give my GMAT exam, and from which website can I get information about the application process? But yeah, so when it comes to the GMAT, it's not an intelligence test. I did very well on it because it's not an intelligence test. It's how well you write the test. And as always, my answers are going to be generic to apply to everybody in this call. So I'm going to teach you a couple secrets right now, all of you, so that you can ace a lot of exams without reading the questions. That's right. Here's how you do it. So first of all, for the GMAT, I recommend taking the Princeton Review, which is a company that's owned by Kaplan. It's owned by Kaplan, which is now owned by the Washington Post, which is now owned by Jeff Bezos. Yeah, well, it's a lot of ownership there. So take the Princeton Review, but to teach you how to do, and don't do any other methodology. And it goes for anybody that wants to write an LSAT. Don't be a lawyer unless you want to be a civil rights lawyer, or if you want to write the MCAT or SAT. Princeton Review is great. Now, here are the tips to help you all do exceptionally well on all tests without reading the question. Here we go. Okay. I'm hedging myself a bit here because now I know a lot of my students in my MBA degree program are going to be able to get more multiple choice questions right. So if you're in my MBA degree program right now, earmuffs, please. So whenever you take an exam, okay, a multiple choice exam, you have to think, unfortunately, like a lawyer. What does that mean? Well, a lawyer can contest everything. They love to argue. I can't stand it unless they're civil rights lawyers, but you know what I mean. So what does that mean? Well, when you look at the answers for a multiple choice question, if you see words like always or never, those are 99.99% of the time incorrect. Why? Because the lawyer can contest it. Can you give me an example, Chris? Sure. So an example is this clicker I have in my hand. If I look at this clicker and I say that this clicker is always black, well, a lawyer might look at it and say, well, I don't know, it's kind of a different shade of gray when I look at it in different light. Or this mouse here is always green. Well, it looks kind of bluish sometimes. So the word always, you can eliminate from the answer, okay? The same thing with never. You know, if somebody says it never rains on a Tuesday, of course, well, you can find an exception to that. So the bottom line is you eliminate answers that have strong words like always or never. Okay, and so what I do actually a lot of times with multiple choice tests, and I don't have to take them as much anymore, obviously, but when I worked on Wall Street and I had to write all these FINRA exams mandated by the SEC and government bodies, but I would look at the answers and eliminate 2 of the 4 answers sometimes, then I'd read the question. And so with multiple choice, it's usually A, B, C, D. I can usually eliminate 2 of those, then read the question. You eliminate words like always or never. So what kind of answers are usually correct in exams, multiple choice tests? The ones that are kind of wishy-washy, like think of it from a Venn diagram perspective, right, where there's that intersection. So words like sometimes, in many cases, often, those are usually correct. Usually correct. So hopefully that helps you all with your test taking abilities. Again, if you're one of my MBA students in my multiple choice questions, earmuffs. Yeah. All right. Next question is Kartik is saying, I'm also worried about being jobless at 22 years old, having a lot of anxiety in network because I'm an introvert. Oh, man, dude, you are so me. When I was 22, I was born in 1972. So when I was 22, that was, I think I just graduated McGill University, and it was 1994. And I lived in Ottawa and I worked for Accenture. Sorry, that joke never gets old. Great company, by the way, but just fun to say. But I remember I was a programmer and I loved to code. And I remember I would program for like 10 or 12 hours a day. And I was in this zone, like with horse blinders. I didn't hear anything. I loved it. It was like a video game for me. It's like playing Uncharted or GTA 5. GTA 5, I can't believe it's still around since 2013. I love it. I just downloaded it again because I got a new gaming PC and I modded up everything. It looks like real life. I'm a nerd. I talk a lot. Let me go on here. Okay. Back on track, Chris. But I remember I would code all day long and I would go out to parties. And I was usually a social guy. Like I was president of my fraternity and all this stuff. But I was nervous and I didn't want to talk to people. And I became that notion of a techie that doesn't really talk to other people like a brain on a stick, or at least a stick. And so what I ended up doing eventually was I started challenging myself. And you always have to move to open spaces or challenge yourself whenever you're fearful of something. Because I promise you, if you're scared of something, the competition is much more scared than you are. And so what do? Well, you condition yourself to love that fear. And I know that sounds out there, but like for me, I was terrified of social situations, and I was very insecure. But then eventually I told myself, I just don't care what people think. I'm just going to be me. And as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So you got to run to your fear, push yourself to get into those social situations, and you will no longer be an introvert. That's right. You can learn to become an extrovert. I learned how. Introverts quite often, and I'll speak from my own humble experience, but introverts quite often, I'll speak for myself, not anybody else, but they're a little bit insecure. I was insecure, I should say, because I care what people thought sometimes. And I like to be alone sometimes too when I was coding. But You just got to run to your fears because nobody else will. Your competition won't run to their fear. The same thing with accounting. If you're terrified of accounting, like I was, I want you to condition yourself to enjoy it. And I certainly teach you all humbly in my MBA degree program how to enjoy accounting and enjoy financial statements. I use a lot of props. It's a lot of fun. If you're scared of presenting, public speaking, then I want you to run towards your fear and conquer it because your competition won't, I promise you. And so I was terrified of public speaking for years. And the way that I conquered my fear of it was I did the scariest thing. I went to jail. Okay, the pause is done. I went to jail to help these poor deadbeat, or these poor guys that had deadbeat fathers that did something I probably would have done if I didn't have my father guide me the right way. And so I went to jail and I started giving speeches. And dude, I got to tell you, that was a terrifying experience for me. And I did it through my through my church. This is not a religious thing. Well, maybe a little bit. But I remember I went there one day, and the priest was supposed to conduct mass. And what happens in church, and again, I'm not going to get all too religious stuff on you here, but there is one God in all religions, so here we go. But what happens in religious institutions is the religious figure, priest, whoever it is, rabbi, anybody, they read from a text. And then what they do is they stand up and they give a speech. And so one day at the prison, it was the McGuire Correctional Facility in Redwood City, California, just south of me here. But one day on a Sunday, the priest didn't show up, and the warden was waiting for him. And so the warden called to me. He said, Haroun? I was like, well, Haroun, yeah. At least he didn't say heroin, which has happened before. He said, Haroun, Father Michael's not here. You're going to have to conduct mass. And I was like, I can't do that. And so he said, no, it's not hard. All you have to do is just read this pamphlet. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. All right. And so what I did was I stood up there in front of 30 inmates, and they had orange jumpsuits. You can't wear orange for obvious reasons, but they have to. And they had their arms crossed like this, right? And some of them had like swear words written across their mustache. It was intimidating. And so I got up there and I was just reading this pamphlet thing. And by the way, when you're up there presenting and you feel nervous and you think you're shaking a bit, nobody can see that. No one sees that. It's all in your head. Even though you feel you're shaking, nobody sees that at all. So I got up there and I read all that stuff. And then after the gospel, I was supposed to, like what priests do is they prepare all week long to write, to give a speech. So they read from the religious text, the gospel, and then they give a speech on it. And they prepare all week long for the speech. And so that week, the speech was supposed to be about, faith, like it usually is, and confidence and hope. And so I finished reading the gospel and I put it down. And I was scared. I was like, oh my God, now I have to give this speech. What do I do? And so I stood there and I thought to myself, not anymore, Chris. I'm never going to be scared again. I was terrified, right? And so I gave a speech. And again, the speech was supposed to be about faith, confidence, all that great stuff. And I said this. And they were looking at me like this, all these inmates. It was terrifying. I said, do you believe in God? And the inmates said, yeah. And then I said, does God believe in you? And the inmates said, yeah. And then I said, well, if you don't believe in yourself, then you might have to question your faith. And then what happened was they started uncrossing their arms, and they opened up to me. And no longer after that period was I ever scared of giving a speech again. So the bottom line is, whether you're an introvert and you're scared of social situations, or you're terrified of math or accounting and finance, or you're terrified of public speaking, I promise you your competition is just as terrified. They're just not saying it. And if you run to your fear and you conquer accounting or social situations, so you don't have to be an introvert anymore if you don't want to be, and you run towards presenting, then what happens is you condition yourself to love it. I think, therefore I am, like the Rodin sculpture, and you'll never be the same. Okay. All right. Can I get a little bit of feedback, please? I want to know how this microphone sound is. Hopefully it's decent. I think it's okay. I haven't heard anybody complain. Now, when you talk on these things, it sounds a little bit nasally. It's weird. I always thought, oh my God, I'm sick every time I give a presentation when I watch a replay. It's just the way these things are. It is what it is, and they come in different colors to match your skin. So hopefully it's not that easy to see. All right, great. Next question is. All right. Next up, we've got Alan. Alan is saying, "Hey, Chris. Hey, Alan. Hope you and your family are well. Likewise. Hope everyone's safe, given COVID, etc." And by the way, what I did this week, and some of you might have seen it in LinkedIn, is it breaks my heart that so many people are stuck at home, bored in the house, that sort of thing, and they're like, "Well, how do I help myself and take my career next level if I'm just stuck at home?" So I made all my courses free. So my courses are free for a limited time. All you have to do is go to LinkedIn. I think it should be up there still. Just go to my LinkedIn profile and you'll see a free courses thing. And just the only thing I ask all of you, please, is if you sign up for my free courses, I want you all to donate to unicef.com or to a local COVID relief charity if you have the money. If not, promise me you'll do it later in life. Okay. All right. Who's this guy teaching about business but he gives his stuff away? Well, I want to help. I want to help. And the second it becomes just about the money is when you guys should just say, screw it. I'm not going to take any more courses from Chris. If you do something just for the money in life, I think you'll lose your money and your dreams. But if you do something with your heart and you chase your dreams, something unbelievable happens. Eventually the money comes and your dreams come true, as long as you're willing to fail at least a bunch of time. And I believe, like Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Right? So anyway, now I'm going to point to this. And the reason I'm going to point to this, I'll tell you why in a second. A lot of YouTubers do that so that they can get the thumbnail image later on, and they'll go back, and I'll remember it's 9:20 or 8:28 my time to take that image there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. And by the way, one of those courses I'm giving away is the complete YouTube course and a course on how to vlog as well. And you guys know where to go and get it. And by the way, I learned about YouTubing, or how to improve my YouTube abilities. It's getting better every week here. Hopefully you can tell. I still make a lot of mistakes. But I learned from one of my students I met here on the 10th weekly webcast. This is week 124. Her name is Sasha Stevenson. And Sasha is she's a sensation, internet sensation in Indonesia. She's one of my students. She has over 100 million views. So she's amazing. And if you're curious, I'm trying to drink a gallon a day. One of my wonderful MBA students, Christina, we compete with each other. I compete with all my students, actually, when I teach the MBA stuff live. A gallon a day. I promise you, it'll help you out with so many health issues. All right. Next question. Alan is saying, what topics will your real estate investing course cover? Will it talk about REITs? How do you know about that? I think I told, let me know, how do you know about that? Did I mention that last week? It's something I'm working on now. The complete real estate course. Yeah. I'm just curious. Yeah. So will it talk about REITs? Do you have an ETA for when it'll be out? Thank you. Yeah. Later this year. It's called a complete real estate course. And it's going to deal with buying your first place, whether it's a house, apartment, whatever, co-op, condo. It's also going to cover investment in real estate. Like, I bought a couple of buildings. Most recent one I bought is in London, Ontario. We're about to close another one. And I bought a building and I have a bunch of students renting it. And that more than covers the mortgage. And then I'll also discuss REITs. And so REITs, for those of you not familiar with that, it's like a stock. So if you want to buy a stock that's kind of like real estate, you can do that. How do you do it? Well, you buy what are called REITs, R-E-I-T-S. R-E-S-P-C-T. R-E-I-T-S. That stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And governments usually mandate that you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to package up a bunch of real estate and put it on the stock market through what's called a REIT. And then you type up a certain ticker to get access to it. Governments mandate that you can do this as long as you pay out 90% of the profits in dividends, which is why yields are quite high. Now, in my MBA degree program, I teach how to analyze any type of investments. I'm also adding some real estate stuff to the MBA degree program. And for those of you that are last year students, I'm adding another lesson, which will be lecture 89, class 89, on advanced options and derivatives. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right, cool. So no one's complaining about the sound. So I guess it's working. Okay, great. Make sure my head's not getting cut off here. All right, cool. All right, next up, I've got Karthikeyan is saying, "Hi, Chris. Hey, I have multiple passions in my life, but due to multiple things, I'm not able to focus on one thing and achieve good. How to choose that one thing from multiple passions I have?" Yeah. No, you are me. I've been there. Like for me, my whole life, two of my passions at least have been finance. I love it. I love investing, working on Wall Street, all that good stuff. Finance and technology. Okay, so those are two passions I've had since I was very, very young. And every job I've had has been a combination of both. And so I started working at Accenture as a programmer. That's tech in the financial services department, okay, in Toronto originally. And then in the Carolinas and then Barbados for offshore banking. Then what I did was I went to work as an analyst, worked in the hedge fund industry. I worked at Goldman, worked in venture capital industry, always investing in tech stocks. And then I've also started tech companies, you can tell here. And I've served on the boards of lots of companies as well. Now, I found that my third passion, which is my biggest one, which I discovered later in life, but it took me till my 40s. My biggest passion is teaching. So now I combine all three. I talk about, I teach, I talk about tech stuff. I'm clearly a nerd. Look at all this idiotic equipment I have here. And then also finance. So I was able to merge all three of those passions. The biggest one, of course, being teaching. But it takes a while. Like we change, man. Like when we get older, our passions change. It's like you fall out of love with what you used to love to do. And so you got to reinvent yourself over and over again. Now, since the 1950s, the average life expectancy is gone up 26 years. That means you're all 26 years younger than you think you are. So if anybody out there is 55 and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm old. What should I do now? I don't like my job. You're not 55. 55 minus 26 is 29. You're a baby. You're still 29. It's all good. You can start over. You can start over. So in terms of how do you know which passion to focus on? Well, what I always recommend doing is I recommend finding people that work in an industry that you think you might be passionate about and meet with them or set up a Zoom call with them. And yes, it works if you ask the right way. To learn how to do that, you can go to my website, harounventures.com, and download my networking book for free, or take my MBA program. I teach you many more networking skills and sales skills to take your career to the next level. It works or your money back. Okay? 30-day money back guarantee. Yeah. So what I would do is, if you're not sure which passion to follow, but you have a couple, set up a bunch of networking meetings with people that work in that industry. See if it's interesting to you. Thank goodness I did this back in the 90s. In the early 90s or mid 90s, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I went and I met with a bunch of lawyers. And I came to the conclusion, I was confused and I went down to Harvard Law as well, sat in a class and all this, like I'd ever get in, right? But I did all that stuff and I realized that being a lawyer was kind of a romantic thing because of the John Grisham books, but and A Few Good Men, that great movie with Tom Cruise and Demi Moore and Jack Nicklaus. Nicholson or Nicholas? I think it's Nicholas. Yeah, not the golfer. But then I went to go meet with a bunch of lawyers, and I hated what they did. I liked the civil lawyers; they were cool, they were dope. It's awesome. But the other lawyers, I didn't get it, and I thought to myself, "Are you a jerk before you go to law school, or do they teach you that in law school?" So the bottom line is, I networked a lot, met with a lot of people in different industries, and finally found my passion by experimenting, and I experiment a lot. All right. Now, if you guys get up in the morning and tell yourself you're going to work, then with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. You got to find your passion, your purpose, your raison d'être. What was the reason that you were put on this earth? And it can't just be about money. It's got to be about passion. And I've got this great poster over here. And I've got a slider that's moving really slowly over there, so I guess I have to read this. It says, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." That's a great quote, of course, from the late, great Steve Jobs. So if you find your parents, friends are pressuring you, whatever it is, or yourself even, from an insecure perspective, this is me in hindsight, to do something that's not fun, but it's a status thing, don't do that. Do what you love doing. Do what you're most passionate about. And as Confucius said, then at that point, you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. Okay. All right. Next up, a follow-up question is, are you a believer of value investing or growth investing? Okay, so let me explain what that means. So there's two types of investors. Okay, there's growth investors and there's value investors. And I have a bunch of props here. This is Elon Musk, of course, but I have a bunch of props of growth and value investors. Maybe I'll pull them out here and I'll go over this. Hold on a second. Yeah, here we go. I like to use a lot of props when I teach my MBA students. So there's two types of investors, okay? Actually, this is going to work out great because Elon he kind of represents growth. Oh man, this is going to be dope on a rope. Okay, awesome. Here we go. All right. So there's two types of investment classes, okay? There's growth and value, okay? So value investors, like Mr. Buffett here, I had to shake that to remember which hand it was in. Value investors are very, very long-term focused, okay? And they like to buy stuff that's cheap and not growing fast. Okay, like Warren Buffett does. This guy here. So he likes to look at stocks with a low price to earnings multiple, and often a low price to book multiple that gives off a lot of cash today. Okay, he doesn't like taking risks when it comes to investing in tech. Then on the other end of the spectrum, this is value, remember? On the other end of the spectrum, you've got growth investors. Now, Elon is not he's not really a market investor. He sort of is. He kind of tipped his hat that Tesla's buying Bitcoin recently for some cool reason. It'll be neat to find out why. So, but growth investors love to invest in Tesla, ticker TSLA, as well as companies that are growing quickly. And a lot of times they don't have earnings or earnings aren't that high. And so growth investors love to invest in companies that appear expensive today, but they're dirt cheap based on growth investors' outlook for that company longer term. What does that mean? Well, I'm more of a growth investor. I started out as a value investor. Actually, Warren Buffett came and lectured one of my classes. He was also a graduate of Columbia. No idea how I got in there. But Warren Buffett, he basically is, he went to Columbia because he read a book by Dodd, Graham and Dodd, who are professors at I'm messing this up, guys. I'm trying here. It's hard standing up with props, but here I go. So I used to be a value investor because when I went to university, it was all theoretical stuff, like, buy low, sell high, buy cheap stuff. And then eventually I moved on, became a growth investor, and worked especially in the hedge fund industry, in the venture capital industry, because I know that my companies that I model, that I forecast the future for, more often than not, and I do make mistakes, but I'm actually pretty good, humbly at it. But I know that my earnings estimates are going to be more or less correct in the future. So instead of a stock trading at 500 times earnings, and people say, "You're crazy, Chris. You're buying that stock 500 times earnings. Why?" I'll say, "No, dude. It's 4 times my earnings estimate in 10 years. Okay, so anyway, that's the difference between those two. And all value stocks, eventually see their growth slowing. Okay, so you got value here and you got growth here. Or all growth stocks see their growth rate slow. I'm really pushing this, guys. You got to give me a break here. Sorry, I'm trying to stand up to 8 million things at once here. No excuse, Chris. Okay, here we go. But all growth stocks eventually become value when growth slows eventually. Okay, and that transition from growth to value, it can take a decade. And usually people are either growth or value investors, but not in the middle. And so I remember I worked for this brilliant man named Carson Levitt years ago, who hired me at 2 hedge funds, Citadel and Pequot. And he told me, Chris, don't ever invest in a company that's transitioning between growth and value, because you're either a growth or value investor, and it might take a lot of time, and it might be stuck in no man's land or investment purgatory in between before it eventually gets from growth to value mode. And so the way that whole process gets sped up or expedited, so to speak, is when a private equity firm gets involved. And they make this transition a lot shorter to unlock shareholder value. So there are people like Henry Kravis, who also went to my business school, and he came and gave a speech once. By the way, he was a straight C student. He's got a big heart, though. He gives a lot away to charity and his time, too. It's more important than money, your time. But Henry Kravis kind of invented the private equity industry. And Carl Icahn will make this transition shorter as well. How? Well, Carl Icahn, he's an activist private equity investor. And so what he'll do is he'll look at companies that used to be growth, but they're stuck in the middle. He'll buy a big stake in the company, muscle his way on the board, maybe fire a bunch of the executives, and make the company become value faster, or split it in 2, which is what he did with eBay and PayPal. eBay and PayPal was the same company for years. Value investors loved eBay because, it's counter-cyclical. When there's recession, people sell more stuff, good cash flow. But value investors hated PayPal because it was high growth. But growth investors love PayPal. And so eBay was this problem child for years. And no one knew if it was a growth or value stock. And so people they got confused and avoided it. Investors, that is. So what Carl Icahn did was he bought a big stake in the company, and he forced eBay to spin off PayPal into a separate company. So growth investors like it. And then to spin off eBay into a separate company as well for the sleepy old marketplace auctions business. And that unlocked shareholder value. And so those 2 stocks on their own was worth much more than the combined entity before. The bottom line there is you're either a growth investor or a value investor. Please never invest in companies that are stuck in the middle, because that investment purgatory transition from growth to value can take a long, long time, and it's just dead money. All right. All right. Next up. Okay. Next question is value investing still working even in this current environment? Yeah. Not right now, but it doesn't matter for the likes of Warren Buffett. So the Warren Buffetts of the world will be very, very long-term investors. I tell you, Warren Buffett is not buying stocks today, not that much, probably. Because stocks are quite overvalued. And so when Warren Buffett buys a stock, what he does is he tells himself, I'm assuming that the stock market is going to be closed for the next 10 years. That's how long-term investor is. He's not a tourist. He doesn't rent stocks. He's an owner. He's in it for the long, long run. Yeah. And the best value investors and the best investors in history, they tend to buy when everyone else is freaking out. And as Warren Buffett said, you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. And right now, it's buying stocks is certainly not what Warren Buffett would be doing in size, or the smart investors for that matter. You got to buy when there's blood in the streets. You got to buy when everyone's freaking out, and you got to be unemotional about it too. You have to be unemotional about stocks. If your emotions take over, then you're going to lose a fortune. And as Warren Buffett once said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. So you need to be a contrarian and be greedy when others are fearful, to quote Buffett, and fearful when others are greedy. Buy when there's blood in the streets. And you got to condition yourself to think that way as well. Like for me, when I bought my first apartment, I think it was in late '01 or early '02 or whatever it was. I lived in New York City, and it was right after 9/11. It was terrifying. It was terrifying also to buy an apartment at that point in time. And it felt so wrong in my gut to do it that it felt right. I know that sounds out there, but think about it. If you buy a stock that everybody else loves and everybody already owns, who is the incremental investor to push that stock higher? There aren't that many incremental investors. The bottom line is you have to be a contrarian in order to see your net worth take off in the long run. Yeah. And I teach you, how to be a contrarian and many investment frameworks in my MBA degree program. If you're curious to learn more about the program, what you can do is you can just go to this website here, learn.harounventures.com. Thanks. All right. Okay, and the question is, should I be a growth or a value investor? It's a matter of preference. It's a matter and it gets very contentious too. It's like religion or politics. Growth investors love to argue with value investors and vice versa as well. My job is as a teacher to provide you with a menu of options. Think of me like I'm a waiter. And I provide you a bunch of options and you choose one course, that sort of thing. Yeah. And I'll never tell my students what stocks to buy or cryptos to buy at all. Because if you give a person a fish, they're going to be dependent on other people always and not themselves. But if you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. And be careful with cryptos too, guys. There are so many scammers out there. In the cryptocurrency industry. And I made this course many of you have taken called the complete cryptocurrency course. I spent over $100,000 making it. I go all out with my courses. Why? Because I do a discounted cash flow and I realize how much my courses can make in the long run. And it's fun too. I can't do anything half-assed. I try not to at least. But with this cryptocurrency course I made, and I even rented a data center in the Czech Republic to do the promotional trailer. You guys can check it out if you want to online. But when I started researching, I was a 7 out of 10 positive on cryptos. And then what happened was by the time I was done with that very long course, which took me 6 months, by the time I was done with that course, I was a 3 out of 10, much less positive, because I realized how many scammers there are in that market. Do I like cryptos? Yes. Do I own some? Yes. Will I ever sell them? No. Do I ask myself questions and answering the affirmative? Yes. Sorry. I've gone a while without dad humor. Maybe because I'm standing up. I'm not as... Whatever. I'm an idiot. I get it. But you got to do your own research. Okay. And you can take my cryptocurrency course right now for free. And all my courses for free. That's right. Why are you doing this, Chris? Why? Because I want people to stay home, not go outdoors, get COVID, and I give a damn. And when you take my courses for free, you have to donate if you want to. I don't make you, but please do so. So go to LinkedIn right now. If you're watching a replay of this, it might not be up in the long run. What's today's date? Today is... All right, hold on a second. Yeah, so today's date for watching replays is Thursday, February 11, 2021. It won't be up there that much longer. Go to my LinkedIn profile and you'll see, and you can click on my posts and you'll get all my courses for free. But I found that when it came to cryptocurrencies, it's not regulated by governments. Like if you want to be on the stock market, you have to write an S1 prospectus, and you have to get lawyers and investment bankers involved. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, in order to do an IPO or ICO, as they call it, initial coin offering, what happens is there's no regulation. It's regulated sort of by mathematics if it's a decent crypto. I mean, there's a 10 to 15 page PDF white paper usually, but there's no regulation. And there's so much fraud with cryptos. It breaks my heart. I have a lot of friends I know and students of mine, one in particular that has lost $15,000 recently through a scam. And I'm trying to go after that scammer in Brooklyn. I'm not going to name that person's name yet. Maybe I'll ask all of you to help me one day to find this person so I can get that 15 grand back for one of my students. But it kills me, man. It kills me how many scammers there are. And there are so many YouTube videos out there, people telling you which cryptos to buy, then you buy them, then they tell you to sell, and they're short it, then you sell it, and then rinse, lather, repeat. They do it over and over again. I think a lot of people are going to go to jail for this. And it's not a regulated market. And I think there has to be some sort of regulation to protect you, the consumer, and the investor. So anyway, just be careful when it comes to cryptos. If you take my course, okay, and I'm not selling something, it's free now for a couple of days, but you have to please donate if you want. Please donate to COVID relief charities and to unicef.com. But I make you go through 49 investment steps so you can kind of create your own S1 investor prospectus throughout that course. And I researched that course so much, and I did so much work on it, and I didn't want to come out and, sound like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So what I did was I hired this guy who was so good to review everything. He was amazing. And he was so good, I kid you not, the NSA knocked on my door one day. And they came in, and I was kind of scared. I was like, well, hi, what's happening here? And I don't know exactly why, but I think what they were doing is they were doing a background check on that person. I'll never name his name. Okay, the guy that I temporarily hired. But they were doing a background check to hire him. He was that good. Because the NSA created SHA-256, which is the underlying security algorithm for Bitcoin and many cryptocurrencies. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, we've got a follow-up question. I have close to 15 years of experience in the IT industry, and I want to shift to something else. For example, electric cars. Do you think it's the right move? If it is right, how can I make it possible? Great question. Great question. And I hope you're following your passion with this. And I've got a quote here from Elon Musk. Hold on one second. Ugh. And I'll tell you how to transition in a second. So Elon said, if something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. So, and the reason I point it is just in case I make that the thumbnail later on. That's what YouTubers do. Yeah. So you can easily make a transition from IT to electric cars. How so? Well, there's a couple ways. Think about it. A car is basically a computer. It is. And you work in the IT sector. So it's not that hard to make that transition. If you're a hardware person, no problem. You could do it. The new dash on the Tesla, oh my God, it's so dope. It's massive. I love it. Almost as cool as the new Mercedes one that was released at CES in January. That's a computer, and there's software running on it as well. So if you're a software person, there's a lot of auto-based software jobs out there right now. And if you ever want to know, by the way, what a company is thinking of longer term, like their corporate strategy, you can look to see what patents they've filed or go to their website to see what job openings there are. As an investor, I do this all the time. And it kind of, like I knew for Apple for a while they were hiring people. Everyone knew it. If you go to the jobs board on Apple's website, auto-related software stuff, they're looking to hire people. And now they're partnering with Kia of all companies. Yeah, it's weird. To make a computer or to make a car, same thing. Yeah. How are you going to do? Okay, next step is this. What you'll do is go to my website, harounventures.com, and download my networking book. Okay, it's a couple hundred pages. It's free, of course. And there's links to a couple hours of YouTube videos I made for you as well to teach you how to get meetings with people, etc. Or take my complete job course on Udemy. Or sign up for my MBA degree program, and I go into much more detail about how to network, how to have a perfect resume, LinkedIn profile, and how to network on steroids, etc. Yeah, but all you have to do is ask. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Ask and you'll receive. People want to help you. All you have to do is ask. So ask often, and I promise you that you will get that job of your dream by networking. You can't just send in your resume. Okay, the world has changed really, really quickly. You can't just send in your resume when you see a job opening. It doesn't work that way. Did I hit the button properly or not? Let me try that again here. Here we go. Oh goodness, I pushed the wrong button there. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. Yeah, you can't just I wanted the more intimate. How you doing? Camera angle here. Yeah, you can't just send in your resume whenever you see an opening, because thousands of other people do. And the person that knows someone at the company usually gets a job. So how do you get a job? And how do you change jobs? And how do you network? Well, you set up a lot of informational meetings. And when you go to those informational meetings, what you do is you help them. So people are motivated by three things in business, okay? They want to make more money, they want to get promoted faster, and they want to enjoy what they're doing. So help them with one of these three. And I provide you with 11 different templates in my MBA degree program on what to bring as weapons or arrows in your quiver, so to speak, in your arsenal, so you can add tremendous value. Who does that? If you do that, I guarantee you the probability of you getting a job and getting anything you want in business goes up materially. You will run circles around the competition. Every battle is won before it's been fought. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Dude, I'm happy with the way this mouse is working here. I hurt my arm, and I was wearing this cast thing. I took it off now. One of my great students, Dion, she's a doctor based in Beijing from Canada originally. She's done miracles, helped me with this, doing remote sessions. But I had to get this mouse because I couldn't move this arm. But I love this mouse now. I'm actually glad it happened. I hurt myself because this is so much more fun this way. Yeah. So it's $27 wireless mouse. You can get it on Amazon. I don't remember the brand name. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I love it. It's cool. Oh, I talk a lot. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me see what the next question is here. All right. All right. Next question is, in what way are the problem solving and verbal reasoning questions, which are tested on GMAT, helpful in life other than getting into MBA? Not at all. It is totally bogus. It's ridiculous. It really, really is. And all these standardized tests are ridiculous as well. My kids, Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan, they're the right here. They're the last generation. I think they're probably going to be the last generation that feels that they have to go to school, go to university, right? They're a bit older than that right now. But Andrew, this guy here, he's a teenager now. He's studying for the SAT, and there's certain state schools now where you don't have to write it anymore. It's a beautiful thing because the system is rigged. It's not fair. It's not fair. You know, you have rich people that hire tutors to teach their kids how to ace. It's not fair. And it has nothing to do with your success in life. And the GMAT's even more ridiculous. Yeah. So I don't think it helps you at all in real life. But if you want, you can ace the exam. You don't have to be intelligent. I aced it, and I'm certainly not intelligent. I'm not a good test taker, but I studied harder than anybody, and I learned how to answer questions before reading the question even. Yeah, which I explained earlier in this call. If you want to be able to go and ace the GMAT, then just take a Princeton review course. Don't do anything else. Just Princeton review, because they'll rewire you to help you understand how to ace the test. I wrote it a couple times, and I took Princeton review, I think 3 or 4 times. Yeah. You can take it over and over and over again. Yeah, for free. Okay. All right. Hey, Peyton, how are you? So Peyton is one of my amazing, and one of my most favorite, although I love all my students the same, MBA degree program students. He's amazing. His life story is astonishing. He's accomplished so much at a young age. He was in the Navy for years. He lived, I think, in Hawaii. Now he lives in San Diego. And he and his wife's from Tulsa. They might move to Tulsa soon. And so what he's been doing, and he's great. Actually, he's great at YouTubing as well. So if you guys want to subscribe to his YouTube channel, he's an up and comer. I think he's going to be really big. And I'm not an arrogant guy, but I'm a very good judge of character. I've always been, and I think he's going to be huge. So you can follow him, Peyton, and then you can search his last name, and I'll spell it Kalewiwahea. Now, what Peyton has done, and what we can all learn from him, is he started writing on LinkedIn, and he started writing articles, and he's getting a lot of great social proof, and people are starting to think of him like a thought leader. And so he's talking about business practices he learned from being in the Navy. And I think that everybody should write articles on LinkedIn and vlog as well. We're all going to look back 10 years from now and say, darn it, I wish I created more YouTube vlogs or more content, because YouTube is the only gold rush in history that costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you have access to billions of potential customers for free. And each little YouTube video I make is like a little franchise on its own. I do it because it's fun, but each one makes money, or most of them make money. I have one actually, I've vlogged, and I repurpose content. I think all of you should as well. So what I do is this, and Peyton is doing this as well. I'll explain how in a second. But what I do is I do this weekly call. This is week 124 now. And then what I do is from this call, I take 7 of the best questions and I make them vlogs for the next 7 days at 9 a.m. Okay, they hit at 9 a.m. That's repurposing content. I do the same thing with videos from here on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc. You have to repurpose content. It's a way to work smarter and not harder. Now, the way that Peyton is doing it, and this is the way I started, it's brilliant, is what he's doing actually is he's writing a book. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this as well. So this is what got me started. I wrote a book, which I'm humbled to say, Forbes magazine called one of 6 books all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book and a bunch of others, whatever. But I wrote a book. It's 6 inches by 9 inches, and I'm going to give you the template for it so you can write a book as well for free. Okay, so I want you to go to this website, harounventures.com/ all one word, lowercase, write book. harounventures.com/ all lowercase, one word, write book. WRITEBOOK. Tons of my students have written books. It's changed their lives. So it's free, and the process of publishing it is free. I have 1 page of instructions on the first page in this template, which is how to get it on Amazon Kindle, Amazon Print, and Amazon Audible through what's called acx.com. I tell you everything. I even give you the link to LegalZoom. I'm not comped by anybody. So you can get your book copyrighted, trademarked, etc. And then a link to my favorite person on Fiverr to make a cover for $5 of the book, that sort of thing. So here's what you do. And this is what Peyton is doing as well. So Peyton, again, is one of my amazing MBA degree students. What he's doing is he just got out of the Navy. He has unbelievable experience, and he's learned a lot about business through the Navy. So he's writing a book, which is something along the lines of 101 or a certain number of business tips I learned in the Navy. And once you do that, then you can gut the book. And what I mean by that is you take 1 chapter per week and you throw it up on LinkedIn and you vlog as well about it, which Peyton is doing or will be doing as well. He's got the same camera as me. It's awesome. Yeah. So anyway, repurposing content. Everybody's got a book in you. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Okay. And they're just short chapters. It's like James and the Giant Peach, like a Roald Dahl book, right? Each chapter is like 1 page. It's more manageable. It's bite size. That's why Twitter has been so successful. So please write your book. Take it with you to your job interviews. Take it with you when you have interviews at a university, whatever. Take it with you when you're meeting with a potential customer. Take it with you when you have one-on-one meetings, when you set up networking meetings as well. Who does that? Who does that? You have to ask yourself, how badly do you want that job? Again, go to harounventures.com/write book to download the template so that you can write a book as well. Anyone can do it. It costs you nothing to take your career to the next level. And if you sign up for my MBA degree program, and you can learn more about it at this link right here, I teach you much more about the whole process of social media marketing, etc., which is helpful, or your money back. 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next up here, Mayank is saying, hello, sir. Call me Chris, please. I'm from India, and I joined your business plan course through Udemy. I believe it's going to be an interesting journey, and I will surely meet you in person after the success of my startup. I love it. And I'll remember your name too, Mayank. Very nice. First time I've seen you in the call, Mayank Sharma. I'll remember your name. And if I can be resourceful in any way to helping you with your business plan, please let me know. Now, in my MBA degree program, we take that business plan process a step further. I have a more elaborate version. I've re-architected the whole thing, added a lot more stuff. And so in the 3rd semester of the 4 semesters of my MBA degree program. You can learn more at this website here. What I do is I put you through what's called a venture capital boot camp. And I go through your business model. I help you out a lot as well. And it's based on my experience having worked in venture capital, lectured at Stanford, whatever, all these other places. Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes, so I can help you with my mistakes because this never gets old, brother. Here we go. Because as Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over again in my career, and that's why I succeed. Or that's at least why Michael Jordan succeeds. All right. And if anybody here, if you guys haven't seen The Last Dance yet, about Michael Jordan on Netflix, you have to watch it. Even if you don't like basketball, it's amazing. And I'm just finishing watching the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO, and it is, oh my God, it's amazing. Amazing. I mean, here's a guy that keeps pushing the goalpost out. He was at the top of his game. He was the best golfer in the world for 5 or 10 years. And he was like, I've got to be better. And so what he did was he put on 20 pounds of muscle, which is in 1 year, he went from 160 to 180. And he really bulked up and took his game to the next level. He's trying to push goalposts. I'm trying to do the same thing as well. But I've had this shoulder injury here. I'm trying to get over. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Naman is saying, on your MBA in one course, okay, you wrote it's now available in regional languages like Hindi as well. And you wrote here, I agree, it's a good step. Thank you. I will say, yeah, what I did was I took my 8-hour course called an entire MBA in one course. And very humble to say that one has generated for me, and I feel bad saying it, but somebody wrote an article about it in the press on CNBC. That one has made over $1 million net profit, just that one. And all my courses have made over 10 million out revenue, and it's been unbelievable. But it's never been because I was chasing money. It's because it's been fun for me, and I'm doing it for my heart, and I want to help. And I believe if you serve other people and help other people, and you ignore everybody else, good things can happen. Like when I started doing this teaching thing, and I left venture capital, I would get calls from venture capitalists and hedge funds, and people would say, "Are you finished with this teaching thing? Do you want to come back to work?" No, never. And I got approached this week, and I get approached at least once a month now, people trying to buy my company. It's not for sale. I will never sell it. I'll never sell it. I'm doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I'm doing. And when people think you're crazy for doing something, that's actually a good thing, because that means not many people are doing it. And then you get some success, and people say, "Oh, he's kind of a crazy genius." And you get a lot of success, and you're a genius. I'm still crazy, okay? I'm still crazy. Yeah. But it's we're trying to move mountains here, and I believe that the most important factor to make you successful is confidence. And I've got a great quote here from Seth Godin. So Seth Godin said, "You have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself." And I believe it. I think that most of success in business, or a lot of it at least, aside from networking and a lot of the practical stuff I humbly teach, is confidence. With confidence, you can do anything. And I believe that a great parent and a great teacher and a great manager, if they can instill in their students or children, friends, employees, a sense of confidence and self-worth and purpose as well, then I think you can move mountains. I really do. And I remember when I was younger, I lived in Canada, and this is back in the 80s. And I remember that the cover of Time and Newsweek was the downfall of the American student, and how American students were 50th in the world in math and 50th in the world in science. And then I didn't get it. I mean, every decade, people always talk about that. You know, American students they can't compete. And then what happened was this. I came to the U.S., and I started teaching during the evenings. And in the San Francisco Bay Area where I teach, or used to teach during the evenings, 50% of my students were always born in another country. And I realized something. I realized that American students, regardless of where they're born in the world, American students are number one in the most important economic category that nobody talks about, which is confidence. And with confidence, you could sell something boring like cloud computing, like Mark Benioff does, and he's a wonderful humanitarian too. But you can make it sound interesting and fun. With confidence. Speaking of confidence, Elon Musk, he could sell the dream of colonizing Mars, and get people excited about it. He could take a Tesla and put it up in space and not give a damn what anybody thinks, because he's confident. And of course, he's not American. He was born in South Africa. And then he lived in Canada, not too far away from where I did for a while there. Yeah. But with confidence, you can do anything. You can move mountains. You could change the world. But you got to tell yourself, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I don't care what anybody thinks. This is my life. I want to do what I want. I'm going to put my dent in the universe. And I just don't care if people judge me. I don't care. You got to tell yourself that. Yeah. All right. So the standing up thing, I think it's working out well. The audio, I'm finding the audio sounds a little bit nasally, but that's just the nature of using it. This is the same one that Tony Robbins uses. But I'm learning. Yeah. And I'll continue to make mistakes. All right. Let me see. What do we got next here? All right. Yeah. And so my MBA degree, entire MBA in one course, somebody here is saying, I like the fact it's in Hindi now. It's in 12 languages now. The Hindi one is not selling at all. And I made a mistake with it. And here's what I did. I'm such an idiot. So a couple of years ago, when I released it, I had somebody do all the screens and put it into Hindi instead of English. And I'm such an idiot. I noticed that all the letters were attached at the top, and I thought that was a mistake, so I spaced it out a bit. And anyway, the feedback wasn't great, but people were polite at least. But it's not selling well. I find my English version of my MBA course in India sells exceptionally well, but the Hindi version, it's not. I mean, you can go to Udemy and see it's not selling at all, but I failed with that, but I keep trying. My third biggest market is actually my second biggest market now is India, with 11% of students. I think the United States is just under 30% now. It keeps getting less. Yeah. It's amazing. All right. Next up, I've got here. Let me scroll down here. Dividend Bull is saying, hey, Chris, do you think a business development companies are good investments? Thanks. Or BDCs. I'm not familiar with that term. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah. But in my MBA degree program, I provide you with a 99-step Excel template, so to speak, to help you analyze companies. And let me actually sit down for a second and show this to you. Let me get over here. This will be interesting. All right. Hey there. All right. So what I'll do is I'll show you one of the templates that I have that I made in Excel, actually. So let's go to Excel, right here, Excel. And let's see if this works. So what I'm going to show you is something that I provide my students, one of the mini templates in the program. Look at me buying time when I'm trying to find where, oh, it's opening up on another screen. That's why. Okay. So I provide my students with just a ton of templates in the MBA degree program, a lot of weapons in their arsenal or arrows in their quiver, so to speak, so that regardless of what your business problem is, meaning you want to start a company or to make money on investment, I got you covered. So now that I bought time, let me bring this window over here. Okay, there it is there. Okay, good. All right, great. All right, so I have this process here. So to help you, and many of you have taken my course and seen this. This is only available in my MBA degree program, which you can access at the link below here. But this here, it's 100 steps, okay, that will help you analyze any type of company. We look at qualitative steps, quantitative steps, and then financial steps as well. And the end product, there's 3 end products. The first one here is, I'm sorry, my face is kind of covering up a bit there. And let me just go and get rid of my face in the corner here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, oops. Yeah, So I take all the data you enter in, and this is just dummy data here, and automatically creates a bunch of charts for you. Okay, so you analyze market share, geographic exposure, sector exposure, heat map here, the top 10 shareholders. You have to understand who owns a company, the total addressable market, the percent of revenue for each product or service, the BOM, meaning bill of materials. Okay, and then the macro stuff, GDP per capita, because if you get the macro wrong, the micro doesn't matter. Okay. Then what we do is we look at it revenue exposure, GDP wise, for that company, population growth, top customers, the average selling price, ASP, and volume trends. And then here is DAO and MAU, if applicable. That's daily active users divided by monthly active users. Okay. And then just a bunch of financial graphs here. Yeah. So that's one of the three outputs. And let me just get my face back here in the corner. It might be easier to articulate this next point. Then I've got over here is the executive summary that's created from it. And this is it's just a one-page PDF, which you guys have probably seen me use before, but it's with live data this time. This is just dummy data here, by the way. But I've got here, I've got like 800 or 900 fields that are pulled in directly here. Okay. And then what you do is you analyze companies from a fundamental valuation technicals perspective. You then hit print, and then you can print it, save it as a PDF, that one pager, if you want to. Of course, your name is automatically on the bottom of it here. Okay. Then there's one more thing, which is a detailed report, which is about 150 pages all in, when all this stuff has been added, at least, to analyzing any type of company. And so this is just an example of one of the many templates that I provide my students in the MBA degree program, or many weapons, so to speak, in your arsenal. Look at me. Hi there. All right. All right, get a little bit of water here. And I drink, so this water I drink, and you can get this anywhere. It's a cheap bottle, but on the side of it, let me show you actually with this angle here. Yeah, fun. Okay, right here I've got, there are lines on the side. So right now it's after 9 a.m. I should be right at the 9 a.m. level. I'm not, so I got to take a quick drink here. But I got to tell you, man, my energy level's gone up a lot since I started doing this. And it's like a ball and chain you carried around with you all day long, because we are 60% water. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I want to change something up on the screen at the top here. Got a bunch of monitors I'm looking at here. Okay. All right, cool. Next up. Oh, Eileen, how are you? So Eileen is saying, Eileen's one of my wonderful MBA students. She graduated last year. She's from Atlanta. She's from the Philippines originally, but she lives in Atlanta. It's a very successful healthcare company. And Eileen, one of this year's students, gave me a list. Dion, it's stuck to my door there, but a list of what to do for physiotherapy for my shoulder. And Eileen's also a doctor. She's great. But Eileen wrote here, Chris, belated happy birthday to an awesome human being. God bless you. Thank you. My students are the best. And you wrote, thank you so much for being a blessing to all of us. Thank you. I'm dedicating the song For Good from the musical Wicked. Please listen to it. I will. Thank you. And God bless you. And Eileen has got the coolest last name ever. Check this out. Eileen's last name is Deo Gracias, which means thank God. So thank all of you. I'm so humbled I've been able to do this, and wouldn't be possible without all of you. You inspire me so much. Thank you. Okay. Rowena is saying, hey, Chris, what do you think of Elon Musk's shift to gold and Bitcoin? Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't. But what I will say about Elon Musk is a lot of people don't give Elon or Warren Buffett enough credit for being incredible communicators. And these are just props for a class I'm using for my MBA students. Looks like I spilled something on this guy here. But they're both great communicators. Like, you never see an interview with Warren Buffett and then afterwards tell yourself, I'm confused now. He's a great communicator. And that's one of the reasons he's raised so much money. He's a good communicator. And I teach you communication skills in my MBA program as well. And Elon Musk also is a great communicator. He does really complicated stuff, man. like I've gone here to the Tesla factory, and dude, I've talked to engineers there, and it's complicated stuff. There's robots everywhere. It's so awesome. But he does complicated stuff. But you don't get confused when he talks. He can communicate. They're both great communicators. They're amazing. And so I like, and they make you feel good too. Like you never like. There's that great quote from Maya Angelou, which is, "People might not remember what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel." They're great communicators, and what Elon does is controversial, and it's similar to what Sir Richard Branson does. So when Sir Richard Branson used to launch companies or sub products within his Virgin Empire of companies, he would do something controversial. For example, when he launched Virgin Cola, when he launched it in the 80s, it flopped. But what he did was he rented a tank and drove that tank into Times Square. Obviously, you can't do that today. He drove it into Times Square with a bunch of Virgin Cola cans on it, and he declared war on Coca-Cola. Now, Mark Benioff did something similar when he launched Salesforce. He was very controversial, and controversy sells, and it's free PR. It's brilliant. The media loves it. They eat it up. What he did was he said software is dead. And the logo for Salesforce.com for ages had the word software crossed out. Very controversial. Nobody understood cloud computing at the time when he launched his company in 1999 here in San Francisco. But it was all about controversy. It works. And Elon Musk is very controversial too. You know, whether it's the flamethrower boring company, right? Or, I don't know, creating some badass tequila Tesla bottle, or taking a Tesla and throwing it up in space. It's ridiculous, but it's controversial and interesting at the same time. And so what he's doing now, when it comes to, and he was controversial with Apple too. Recently, he said, Tim Cook could have bought Apple a couple of years ago, whatever, and he missed that opportunity. Or what he's doing now is he's buying a lot of gold. He's also buying Bitcoin. It's controversial. Even if there's no strategy with it longer term, everybody talks about it. And when everybody talks about it, it's free PR for Tesla. It's brilliant. So remember that. Controversy sells. Like what I could do with my product if I wanted to, my MBA degree product, is I could say, don't go to Harvard Business School because 2/3 of Harvard Business School or HBS, 2/3 of HBS is BS. You can't say that about Haroun Business School, though. Maybe you can. Okay. But, like, I don't want anybody to ever rely on successful people when it comes to what stocks or investments to buy. I've seen so many people over the years lose a fortune doing that. I remember I worked at a venture capital firm, and we had investment in a clean tech company. And Bill Gates was an investor. And so people at the venture capital firm were like, oh, well, Bill Gates is an investor. It doesn't matter. What matters is your opinion because nobody is smarter than you. And I provide you with an arsenal of weapons, so to speak, or frameworks in my MBA degree program so you can analyze and make decisions for yourself. Don't ever rely on anybody else. Otherwise, what happens is if you buy a stock because somebody smart on TV, whatever, that speaks gooder than me, tells you to buy it, then when it goes down, you'll freak out and sell it. Imagine that. Imagine that. And Warren Buffett, it's interesting. He said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Don't be a tourist. Don't rent investments. Be an owner. Be a long-term owner and do your own research and never rely on anybody else. Never read editorials ever again for the rest of your life, please. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got here, Rowena is saying, I was also listening to a commentary that the IMF, meaning the International Monetary Fund, wants to use digital currency to replace gold. What do you think? Yeah. I'd be surprised if they would do that. So the thing about, so the thing about gold or natural resources in general is there's a dearth of supply, which is why the value of natural resources has gone up over time. It is what it is. There's just a limit of how much gold you have. and all resources. When it comes to cryptos, yes, there's a limit with some cryptos, but not all. With not all. The great ones have a limit on supply, which is wonderful, but not all of them do. But I'd be surprised if they did that. I really would. I really would. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Peyton is saying, woo, standing up. Let's go. Like Matthew, my middle child says that. Matthew. Yeah. He goes, let's go. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I love Tulsa as well. Yeah. All right. And then next up, I've got Pratik is saying, hey, Chris, I hope you're fine. I'm Pratik Nawala. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we got Nikki who's saying, hey, Chris, hope you're well. Likewise. Can you please talk about how to effectively do market research? Is it simply different types of Google searches, et cetera? Yeah. So I do have a it's kind of hard for me to answer that in one question, but let me sit down and show you here on the screen. Okay. So I've got this, hold on a second. And I just showed this briefly. I won't go into too much detail on this, but the way to do market research is to, and I'll go through this here quickly. I apologize if you can't see it that well. And what this is this is actually from one of the many templates I provide my MBA students. This is just Excel, yeah. But you got to do qualitative, quantitative, and financial research. Okay, so there are a number of different steps here. You got to look at when you look at the competition, you have to look at the strengths and weaknesses of each competitor. You got to think of future competition as well. You have to understand production and distribution for all companies in the sector. What you can also do to understand corporate strategy for the company and risks is for all companies in a given sector, you can go to sec.gov and find out what the risks are for that company and for the sector in general. So a lot of times when you're doing research on a certain company or a certain sector, you have to look at the competition. So the way you do that is you go to a United States government website called the SEC.gov, which stands for Securities and Exchange Commission. And let's say that you're doing research on, I don't know, Facebook or a company similar to Facebook in the same industry. So you would type in the ticker here, Facebook, okay? And I teach you all this in my MBA program in a lot more detail. And then you want to look at the annual report, which is the 10K, or what's called the S1, which is the filing they used back in May of 2012 when they went public, but the first version was down here, of their IPO documents. And I teach you guys how to go through this in a lot more detail in my MBA degree program, how an IPO works, etc. And when you read through this for all the companies in a given sector or given industry, you want to focus particular attention on the risk factors here to find out what all the risks are for the industry. Okay. And they also talk about the entire industry in a lot of details in these reports here. Okay. And these are created by investment bankers, and lawyers as well. So I would look at that closely. Another thing I would do as we look through here is you want to just all these items here you want to analyze to death until you understand each company in the sector. And I've got a ton of frameworks here, like the Porter 5 Forces framework, SWOT analysis, Boston Consulting Group, a bunch of quantitative metrics, financial metrics, etc. So you can understand the total addressable market as well. Don't ever invest in a company or start a company that's in a tiny market. You want to make sure that the TAM, total addressable market here, is massive. Okay, it has to be huge. Otherwise, what happens is you end up owning a big piece of a small pie, so to speak. All right, that's me standing up here. So hopefully that's helpful. But I have a number of different tools in my arsenal, so to speak, to help all my students be able to do research on any type of company. Yeah, and that framework I showed you is what a lot of Wall Street analysts use. Kind of like it's like an initiation report when a Wall Street investor or analyst decides to research a company or a sector in a lot of detail. And what comes out of this here, actually, this whole report and I'll just go into screen only mode here. When you're done writing it, what comes out of this is a detailed report that's like 150 pages, and also an executive summary version as well. And this is just dummy data here. Yeah. Okay. Let me go back here. Grab my water. Experimenting with different angles. I don't really like the color on this one here. It looks kind of out there. Yeah. Yeah. This is better. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Next question is, what's the difference between direct and indirect competition when your offering or your product is a superset of other offerings? Would you consider the subsets as competitors? Yeah. But please give me an example so I can best answer that question. Thanks. Okay. All right. Next up, Pratik is saying, the day after tomorrow, I'm going to meet with the dean of the topmost school in my city. If I'm able to impress him, he may give me a scholarship in his school. Any tips on how I can impress him? Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great, man. Okay. Let's get you ready. Okay. So relationships are always more important than product knowledge. A lot of people make mistakes in business by going to a meeting with somebody they've never met before, and they jump right into business. But when you make a first impression, you want to be able to bond with somebody on a personal level. So here's what I recommend you do, Pratik. And I'll make this a generic answer to apply to everybody for every type of meeting. Before any meeting with anybody, what I want you to do is I want you to go to their Twitter profile, and I want you to see who they follow. If they follow certain sports teams, maybe a cricket team or whatever it might be, or certain athletes in cricket or whatever sport it is, you might be able to spark up a conversation about that before the meeting. You can also find out what their other interests are based on who they follow. So for example, if you were to go to a Bill Gates Twitter profile, I haven't checked it in a while, but he has less than a couple hundred people and companies he's following, and the only non-Microsoft and non-charity related entity that he follows is Udemy. That's kind of interesting to me. So he definitely cares about ed tech. So you might be able to spark up a conversation about that sort of thing with him. I've met him a couple times. Good dude. Different in real life. When he's on television, he's media trained. When you meet with him, he's a good dude, but he speaks much, much faster. Yeah. So I think you can go to the Twitter profile of the dean to find out who the dean follows. You can also go to the LinkedIn profile of the dean before you're meeting there to find out what groups they follow, what charities they follow as well. Maybe you do similar charity work to what the dean does, for example. What I would also do is I want you to research who the most successful humanitarian graduates are that have changed the world from that university. Okay, you can go to the Wikipedia page of that university. I'm sure they'll have the who's who that went to that school listed there. And if these people that went there that are alumni that were humanitarians or are humanitarians, if they inspire you, then I want you to mention them, somehow name drop in that meeting as well. Because what it does is it makes it look like you actually, it shows that you really care about the school and you have your heart set on it and you've done a lot of due diligence, a lot of research. In addition, what I want you to do, if you can, is bring exhibits with you in your bag. You don't have to pull them out, but just have them with you just in case. It might be something like a research paper you wrote that you got a good grade on in high school. I think you mentioned this is for university, I think. Yeah. Just have exhibits ready in your bag just in case. And then, of course, at the end of the meeting, and if you don't know the answer to a certain thing, what you do is this. You have a pad of paper with you, okay? You say, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know, but I'll find out. And you write it down, okay? And then within a couple hours of the meeting having been finished, what I want you to do is research what you didn't know the answer to, and then send an email. And the email, I want the subject line to be thank you. The contents, I want it to be this. Professor Johnson, for example. Thank you so much for your time today. I enjoyed our conversation, period. In terms of your question that I couldn't answer about X, I did some research, and here are my humble thoughts, blah, 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 blah. Thanks again for your time. Much appreciated, Pratik. That's it. Less is more. Never have more than 3 sentences in a paragraph ever. I think that will help. But if you have additional questions that I haven't covered or follow-up questions, please let me know, and best of luck. Oh, of course, read the newspaper that morning as well. In case something happened, there might be idle chit-chat about something. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. And Rose, who's one of my MBA students that graduated last year, is saying, get those steps, Chris. And Rose is so awesome. So she created a yearbook. I want to show you guys from it was last year's program. And she was just very proactive and decided to do this. Let me see if I can even show you up close. And I got the non-glossy version here so I could show people. But here's some of the amazing students we have. There's profiles on all of them. That's Mohammed, Manolo, Lamarck from the Philippines, Dave's from France but lives in the Bay Area here as well. Just a lot of great. That's Bob Burgundy. That's me. I wear some costumes as well. I'm a little bit crazy. That's okay. I know I'm crazy. It's fun though. Yeah. Jason, who's the head of the Alumni Association. He's based in Melbourne. Great guy. If you guys want to know what it's like to attend my Haroun MBA program, just reach out to anybody. Find people on LinkedIn. There's over 200 people that have put it on their profile. Just ask anybody you want. This is Dr. Mark Vincent Besa. He's a doctor in the Philippines, and he's been doing such a great job applying what I've taught, meaning writing articles on LinkedIn, that what happened was the United Nations approached him and offered him a job in Somalia. He actually turned it down, but yeah. So anyway, but Rose put this together. Thank you, Rose. There's Dante in Ottawa. Yeah, we just have a great. I miss these students so much. Jimmy Reardon, one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. Okay, he's from Connecticut. He just moved to Maine. That's Gordon Lizard. That's me. We have a lot of fun. All right. Rose is saying, get those steps in. Thank you, Chris. Get those steps in, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying something different here. It's, motion creates emotion. So if this works out and if the feedback's positive, I might do this from now on, because I find that like my weekly call, like I've been doing it for 124 weeks straight, and it's getting a bit stale, and I want to push the goalposts out, and try something different. So this is fun. All right. Okay. Next up, Agniva is saying, what advice would you give to a data science aspirant who wants to work in the finance sector, especially investment banking? Yeah. So I would say that like finance jobs, they're really tough to get, but it's all about networking. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. Your network is your net worth. And so what I want you to do, Agniva, is I want you to go to my website, harounventures.com, and I want you to download this free book on networking. It's a couple hundred pages. I promise you it'll help you get that job of your dreams. Or what you can do is take my complete job course. That might help out. Or my MBA degree program, which goes in a lot more detail about networking to get the dream job and all that great stuff. Yeah. All right. Next up, Nikki is saying, question on customers. How narrow should your target market be if you're just starting out? I would like to think broad, but I don't want to exclude anyone. Also, I realize a startup needs to be focused. Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say don't ever start a company in a tiny market. And there's a great venture capital firm I've partnered with a number of times called Kleiner Perkins. And when I go visit my buddies that would work there, Paul Y-E-H, he's no longer there anymore. Good dude, though. He started his own VC firm. But I remember once he told me that Kleiner will not invest in companies, for the most part, unless the size of the total addressable market is at least $20 billion. And the reason is because in the unlikely event that the company is successful that they invest in, most don't do well in VC in general, in the unlikely event that the company is successful and gets 5% market share, which is a lot. 5% of a $20 billion market means $1 billion in annual revenue. So how do you find the total addressable market, or TAM? Well, you can do a search and find industry reports. Quite often firms like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Monitor, Accenture, Forrester, Gartner, etc. Those aforementioned consulting firms. What they do quite often is they create these massive reports, and they give away some of the big statistics for free and excerpts. You can search for that. But if you can't find the total addressable market, then what you can do is just get the annual revenue for the top 25 companies in that sector. And that's a good enough proxy. It's close enough for government work to get the total addressable market correct. Now, some people will say, Chris, but wait a second. There are some sectors where the market is tiny. It doesn't really exist yet. No, it does exist. Just think about it differently. For example, Uber. When Uber first started out, the online taxi market didn't really exist. But the traditional old school taxi market was massive. When Larry and Sergey started Google back in 98, 99, the search market wasn't that huge yet, but the advertising market, classified ads in newspapers, was massive. So was radio ads. And so were also outdoor billboard ads. So they could have gone to Lamar, ticker LAMR, which is an outdoor billboard company, and looked at their annual revenues, for example, that sort of thing. Yeah. So the bottom line is, don't ever start a company or invest in a company that's in a small market. Okay. I'm getting hungry here. So good. Okay. Okay. All right. Next question I've got here is Naveed is saying, hey, Chris, hey, I want to refresh my practical economics understanding. If you cover any economics in your short courses, those you've shared freely lately, I really appreciate your generosity on that. Yeah, I don't really. I guess you can take my complete financial analyst course, because I do talk about fiscal policy, monetary policy, and then we use data and we go to the websites of the WHO, the World Health Organization, as well as United Nations, UN's website, and then the IMF as well. So you can learn it that way. Aside from that, in my cryptocurrency course, I do talk about some macroeconomic stuff as well. But I really do think that a lot of the stuff they teach you in traditional business schools, like supply and demand graphs, are a waste of time. Unless maybe you're an economist, which is like, I don't know, 0.01% of people. Yeah. Economics is very, very theoretical. Yeah. If you want to learn about economics, I'll teach you a way to do it for free that I think you'll enjoy. I guess I'll sit down here. Hold on. All right. All right. Here's how you do it. Okay. So what you do is you go to the Financial Times website. So the Financial Times is like the Wall Street Journal, but for the world. It's based in England. It's kind of like the BBC. It's more globally focused. I like it. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So what I want you to do is just find articles about, pardon me. So just find articles here about how the world works. Okay, like economic stuff. So let me find a macro article that might be interesting for you here. All right. There's not much here today. Hold on a second. Economy, I guess. Let me find something here. Let me scroll down. Okay, so I usually they have one here. Let's go here to Brazil. Okay, this might be macro related here. Okay, this. Now watch what happens when I click this article to read about Brazil. It's going to say you have to pay. Okay, choose your subscription. I'm like, no way, man. So what you do is you copy. Okay, then you paste. Then you click. And now you read for free. Okay? So just read about how the world works. And the FT is fantastic. Don't read articles here about what stocks to buy, just about economic stuff. This is the best way to learn. It's not theoretical. It's real life stuff. Why did that work? You're thinking to yourself, Chris, I don't understand. How was I able to get that article for free when I'm supposed to pay for it? What happened there? Well, and this doesn't work with all websites, but if the FT did not make it free like that when you search for it, then from an SEO or search engine optimization perspective, it would hurt their business a lot. You wouldn't be able to search for articles from the FT. It doesn't work for all companies, but for many websites it does. And I'm all about doing whatever it takes to add as much value to my students for free. Yeah. All right. Hey there. Okay. All right. Let's do audio check. All right. This is fun. All right. Next question is from N12468. 24601. That's from that play, Les Miserables. Remember that one? All right. Question is thoughts on crypto? Question mark. Yeah. So it's hard for me to say that because there's so much crap out there. I think over 90% of cryptocurrencies are a scam. But you can take my complete cryptocurrency course if you want to, or check out my other courses by going to this link here. Yeah. And then you're asking me, do I know about Project Unistake? I don't. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Dennis is saying, hello, Chris. Would you ever recommend to anyone to go to a top business school just to network with people? So here are my thoughts on going to traditional business schools or university in general. If you set up a gazillion networking meetings and you can't make a career change to get that coveted job in whatever market you want to get that job in, then consider going to university. That's what I think. I really believe that your network is your net worth and that people don't network enough. Don't believe me? Well, there's a reason why so many people that have high school educations only go from or go from the mailroom to the corner office, meaning CEO. It happens a lot because the person that works in the mailroom is just very social. You know, here's your mail, sir or ma'am. Did you see the Blue Jays beat the Yankees again like they always do last night? That was by some Canadian, of course. But it happens a lot. You know, it happened to Simon Cowell from American Idol. Also happened to the former president of ESPN, the former editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs for decades, a guy named Sidney Weinberg. That's right, for decades. There's a gazillion examples, tons of examples. David Geffen. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on because they networked aggressively. So I think, look, if you're thinking about going to a university or traditional MBA school to waste $100,000, what I recommend doing first is, okay, I've got a comment here on the microphone from Rose. Rose is saying, microphone is good. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, great. Sorry. If you're thinking about going to a traditional business school, before wasting $100,000, what I want you to do is this. I want you to think about setting up 1,000. Stick with me here. This is going to sound out there. I want you to think about setting up 1,000 networking meetings. And in those, there's a point to all this, but in those 1,000 networking meetings, I want you to set them up to try to get that job of your preference, that you think that this MBA school is going to help you get a job in that sector. And I mentioned 1,000 meetings because if 1,000 meetings, if each meeting costs $100 each, then 1,000 times 100 is $100,000. That's what you're going to be spending on that MBA, and you're losing 2 years of your life as well, etc. So I would try to network as much as you can. And yes, 1,000 is exaggeration. I get it. But I want you to network as much as you can to make a career change. And after you've networked like crazy, and if you decide that it's just hopeless, I can't make that career change, I've set up a gazillion meetings, then consider going to university. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Peyton is saying that the sound is great, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. And I asked earlier for feedback. This is helpful. And Peyton is in my current MBA program, and Rose is a graduate from last year. Rose is saying the microphone sound is good. Thank you. And then you wrote, and wow, touching moment with the inmates believing in themselves. Then you wrote, out of all the stories you tell during class, I've never heard that one. No, it's yeah, that was it was a I was so scared, man, when I went to jail that standing in front of the inmates and stuff. And when they trained me to go into the prison system, they did a thorough background check, and I actually met Zach Williams, Robin Williams' son. He actually went to the same school as I did, but he does the same thing, but in San Quentin as well. He's a great guy. Looks just like his dad too, and sounds like him too. God bless him. Yeah. And his sister's name is Zelda, because Robin Williams, God bless him, was a big Zelda fan. I like Zelda too. Yeah. I like Mario more though. All right. Next up, Custard Apple is saying, "Hey Chris, hey." I'm taking your presentation and public speaking course on Udemy currently, but my English pronunciation sucks. What do you recommend? Yeah. So what I would say is the best way to improve pronunciation is to watch television, and it's fun too. I know it's out there, but a lot of people learn second languages by turning on closed captions or watching television in a foreign language, whatever it is. And then, of course, practice a lot. Yeah. And practice with your friends as well, and ask them to correct you or to tell you how to pronounce things slightly differently. But I like accents a lot. It makes you different and unique, and interesting. Yeah. So, and I didn't realize my dad had an accent until I was 18. I left the house, but the way he says words it sounds cool to me. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Peyton, for the timestamp there. Appreciate that, brother. Okay. Next up, I've got Kardik who's saying, "Hey, Chris, we should not drink water standing up. It's not good for our health." Really? Why? I'd love to know why, please. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Oh my God. Is that Anang from, that can't be Anang. Anang, oh my God, Anang, that's Anang from Appleby? Is that you? I went to school with Anang. I think it is. That must be a picture of your son there. If it is you, oh my God, it's been years, man. It's been like, 1990, I graduated. But I saw you at McGill at one of my fraternity parties too. It's been almost 30 years, and you're a doctor now, right? Yeah. Anang is saying, really enjoying your content and video snippets on LinkedIn. Congrats on all your success. What is your advice? It's so good to hear from you, man. So good to hear from you. Yeah. And thanks for mentioning Sohail. I miss that guy, Sohail. I haven't seen him in like 8 million years. Yeah. And LinkedIn, you mentioned him. You wrote, what's your advice regarding investing for the novice investor? Yeah. So what I would say is always do your own research. Never rely on anybody else. And I have a course you could take. And so, Inang, just go to my LinkedIn profile. And one of the most recent posts, I'm giving all my course away for free. Just take that course on, take the course called the Complete Financial Analyst Training Program. It's long, it's like 20 hours. But what I do is I teach you how to think like a professional investor based on my humble experience having worked at Goldman, some of the top hedge funds, venture capital, etc. Yeah. And never take anybody's advice ever when it comes to any stocks. Always do your own research because nobody is smarter than you. Yeah, it's true. And I got to show you this poster. I know I showed it before, but I love it so much. This one really inspires me. You have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. Always form your own opinions when you're investing. Yeah. So take that course, and if you have questions, let me know, brother. I'd be happy to help you out. And it's so good to hear from you, man. Awesome. High five at you, brother. Yeah. Good to see you. And we were in Collie House together. I remember that. Yeah, and we were teenagers. Very cool. Okay. All right, next question is from Harsh, who's saying, I'm 18. I don't have money. I live in India. What should I do? Yeah. Well, I can teach you everything about business for free. Just go to my LinkedIn profile. and just for the next day or two, whatever it is, sign up for all my courses, all my courses. Okay, if you want, get it for free. Yeah, yeah. And if you have money, donate to COVID. If not, don't do it later in life. Yeah. But what I would pay particular attention to, Harsh, is the course called the Complete Job Course that will help you network and get the job of your dreams. Yeah, and it's all free anyway. Yeah. And if you have questions while you take the courses, just let me know, please. And Peyton, thank you for the update. Appreciate it, brother. All right, next up we have Manas, who's from India, who's saying good morning, bonjour, hello to my dear mentor. Good to see you, buddy. A question that really bothers me. What's the total cost of your equipment present in your studio, like the digital equipment? I love them. Yeah. And I'd love to go. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about that, but what I will say is if you go to my Instagram I'll show you what I did with an iPhone. Okay. You don't need to have expensive equipment to do what I do. And all you need is an iPhone or Android handset. And I'm going to show you. Okay. I'll show you. So I was, it was Udemy had me on their Instagram page for an interview, and the equipment that I used was just an iPhone, and I'll show it to you. All right, and the iPhone's audio as well. So let's go to Instagram. It'll correct me. Instagram. Here we go. All right, and if you go, oh, by the way, this is Carol. So she was my au pair. She's amazing. Back in 2007, she's unbelievable. She's from Brazil. She came here. She was so motivated. She and her husband, Raphael, they stay with us all the time. Great. They're awesome. They have the 8th best show now on Netflix. And we started watching it. It's pretty good. At number 1 in Brazil, but number 8 in the United States. All right, where was I? Let's go here. And I'll go to my profile. And then there's an art. I got interviewed here, and I want to show you the resolution. It actually worked out quite well. It's coming up soon. Oh yeah, Marty. Whatever happens, don't ever go to 2020. Those are my boys. They're like sons to me. All right, my favorite mug ever I got for Christine. It says, "I survived another meeting that could have been an email." Yeah, sorry, and that's my cat Ruby, and yeah, she's getting bigger. All right, where is this? It's coming up soon. Here it is here. Okay, yeah. So this here was I was interviewed by Udemy. Yeah. So it looked clear. This is because it's on Instagram rebroadcast. But this here, what you see here, and you guys can go to my Instagram profile if you want to. This interview here, all I used was my iPhone, right? And I just put it up there. And those are just my iPhone ear things, whatever the hell you call them. Yeah. But the audio quality, everything, that's all I used. That's all I used. So you don't have to have expensive equipment or anything to do what I do. You already have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Next question is from Harsh. Harsh is saying, in India, I see a lot of big tech startups that have a very high valuation. For example, Paytm has a valuation of 16 billion. Clearly, we can say that it's not success. Okay, what's your opinion? Yeah. So one of the reasons why you're seeing such egregious or nosebleed high valuations is because interest rates all over the world are close to zero, and governments all over the world have basically told the markets that interest rates will probably stay low for a long time because things are bad. Okay, and when interest rates are low, it's supposed to get people to, borrow money and start companies, which creates jobs, which is good for the economy. And so because interest rates are basically zero, what's happening is people are like, well, there's no incentive for me to leave my money in the bank because the interest rate sucks. So where do I put it? Well, I guess I'll invest in risky stuff. Conversely, when rates are very, very high, people don't invest in stocks or venture capital ideas, etc. And so in the early 1980s, there was a Federal Reserve chairperson, God bless him, he's no longer with us, named Volcker. And Volcker raised interest rates in America to about 20% in the early 80s. And as a result, the stock market was awful. Not many companies were founded. It was an awful time. And he had to do it because of inflation to keep prices in check. I can go there if you want me to. But the bottom line is people were like, well, interest rates are 20% in the early 80s, so I'm just going to keep my money in the bank. Okay. All right. Oh, it's all cool. It's all cool, Menace. Thanks for the question, bud. All right. Okay. And Karthik is saying, thank you for the answers. You're most welcome. Okay. And Ashriya is saying, hey, Chris, hey, if you could, what would you advise your 17-year-old self? The things you wish you knew when you were 17 that would have saved you a lot of time and made you a bit more mature earlier. Oh, yeah. Gosh. Well, I guess the biggest advice that I would have is I would tell myself in hindsight, Chris, don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you. You know, you do you, you be you, you live your life on your own terms. And don't feel that you have to become a lawyer to impress people. This is just me in hindsight. I can't believe I want to be a lawyer. It's ridiculous. You'll be miserable if you go down that path. Just be yourself because everybody else is taken. And as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Follow your heart and don't ever be nervous and don't ever be worried about anything career-wise because God already knows what's going to happen. And that should put you at ease. Last thing I'll say about that is that I would say also your time is limited, Chris. So don't waste it living someone else's life. That's a great quote from Steve Jobs, of course. And just be you. You know, everyone else is taken and, you know, people feel uncomfortable when you act like somebody else. You know, when you get to an elevator with a senior executive and your colleagues are there, everyone stops talking. They're like, oh my gosh, what should I say? And then you say something and you're not yourself and the senior person, you know, loses respect for you for not being you and your peers hate you for not being yourself. So just be you, just do you. Okay. All right, next up, Manas is saying, guess what? I completed your vlogging course in a day. I loved it. And I have to say, this after recording stuff for more than hours, I learned a lot from that. Thanks for having it. You're most welcome. The way I made that course and it's a free course that I'm always going to make this one free forever. It's called How to Vlog. You just go to my website. You can get it for free here. Okay. It's here. But it's, I recorded that whole thing. Using just my iPhone. Where's my iPhone? It must be down here. Oh, here it is here. Yeah. So all I did was I was in Barcelona and I recorded it with this, Manas. That's all I did. That's all I did. I didn't even have a microphone or even a gimbal to hold it up to stabilize it. I just walked like this the whole time throughout Barcelona in a day to make all those videos. 28, I think. I think I made some in Toronto as well. Yeah. Okay. Harsh is saying, don't you think everybody in the world is just playing a valuation game? Yeah. Yeah. And if I read between the lines, you're saying everybody knows the market's overvalued. Yeah. I worked for this guy, God bless him, he just passed away from pancreatic cancer. Sucks. His name was Art Sandberg. And he started a hedge fund called Pequot, which at one point was the largest technology hedge fund on the planet. And I'm humbled to say that I worked for him. And I remember it was like '06. A bunch of us were meeting. You know, there was a private equity bubble at that point in time, and the markets were overvalued. The home builders were overvalued. Everybody knew there was a mortgage crisis coming eventually. And I remember we said to him, shouldn't we be shorting the home builders like Lennar, ticker LEN, or KBH, ticker KBH as well? And he said, why? And we said, well, the valuation is egregious, expensive. And we were in a bubble then. And he said to me, it was really interesting. He said, son, I've learned over the years never to stand in the way of insanity. Markets peak, markets trough. You cannot time the market. You just can't. And so you have to be very, very long-term focused whenever you pick stocks. Yeah. Because the market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent. I got to drink some water here, man. It's been a while. Try and drink this whole thing every day here. All right. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got, yeah. And by the way, I had one of my amazing students help me out. She's a doctor, Canadian doctor living in Beijing, named Dion. And she said that my posture, because my shoulder's kind of messed up, my right shoulder is a lot lower. And it's so funny, and it's therapeutic. She told me this because what I've been doing for ages is I've been trying to make this level, and it's always off, and it's because I'm slightly off like this. Kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas is saying Tesla put $1.5 billion into Bitcoins. Why are they doing this? Is Elon thinking something new about it? I don't know. But it's pretty amazing. I buy 1.5 billion Bitcoin. I tell everyone about it. Bitcoin goes up. I make money. I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. And Manas is saying your grandfather complained to Heinz and they sent him 2 boxes of ketchup. That story was impressive. Can you repeat that, please? Yeah, God, I must have talked about that years ago. Yeah. I love it. So my grandfather, God bless him, and if he were still with us today, he would say, like he would always say, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. But what he used to do was he would complain to big companies when something wasn't right. And ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. I remember one time I was at his house and he ordered a sink and he was putting in a sink and there was a slight hairline crack in it. He wrote a letter to the manufacturer. They sent back 2 sinks. Another time we were having dinner and the ketchup, back in the old days, it was glass bottles. It was really hard to get that stuff out. But it was a little bit watery, right? And so he wrote a letter to Heinz complaining and they sent him a whole crate of ketchup. It's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And by the way, you know why they call it Heinz 57? Because that was the 57th sauce that Heinz ever made. All right. Next question is, what is the difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur? Yeah. So an entrepreneur is a self-starter that starts their own company. You know, a business person, it can also be an entrepreneur, but sometimes they just work at a big company. And by the way, an entrepreneur and a CEO have one main thing in common. They're great salespeople. You will never get to where you want to be in life, in business, unless you learn how to sell. And I teach these concepts in my MBA program. You can learn more at this link here. Thanks. All right. Next question is, do you think Apple will get into Bitcoin? I don't know, but it's only a matter of time until Apple and all companies accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for their products. Yeah. All right. And they have to too. Like a lot of retailers, like not just Apple, but a lot of retailers, they try to compete with Amazon. It's really tough. And retail is a cutthroat business, man. It's called Black Friday for a reason. So in America, at the end of November, the biggest shopping day is Friday. It's the first day after Thanksgiving in late November. They call it that because the first 11 months of the year, companies are in the red, meaning they're not profitable. And then they break even and they're in the black by the end of November. And so they only make money for 1 month. It's that hard in retail. And quite often the profit margins are 1, 2, or 3% in retail. What that means is for every $1 of stuff you sell, you make 1, 2, or 3 pennies. And so credit card transaction fees are brutal. Like the oligopoly of MasterCard, Amex, and Visa, they charge usually, between, 1 to 4 or 5% sometimes to use the credit cards. So if you're a retailer and you're competing with Amazon and it's cutthroat, instead of accepting credit cards, if you accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies where the transaction fees are basically zero, then you can survive. So it's only a matter of time until all companies, especially retailers, smaller and mid-sized retailers, start accepting Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, how do you find out if a company is growth or value? Yeah, it's pretty easy. If the valuation is very expensive, it's categorized as a growth stock, as long as they're growing, of course. If the valuation is cheap, it's categorized usually as a value stock. And usually value companies aren't growing very fast, hence the low valuation. Yeah. And there's a benchmark people look at, which is if the price to book ratio is 1 or below, it's a value investment, which doesn't always work. But let me explain what that means. And I was just explaining this to my MBA degree students. So for the rest of your life, I want you to think of financial ratios, the denominator being 1. What does that mean? Well, the price to earnings ratio, always assume the denominator is 1. What does that mean? Well, price over earnings. 1 for earnings. For every $1 in earnings, how many times that $1 are investors willing to pay the price? Okay. The same thing when it comes to price to book, which I just mentioned for value investors. Price to book means the price divided by the book. For every $1 in the value of the entire company, if it was liquidated, what is the stock worth? Okay. And if it's 1 or less, then that company is worth less than if it was to be taken apart, delisted from the market, and all the assets sold. Yeah. All right. Next up, Harsh is saying, I see a lot of companies have low earnings and high valuation. Yeah. It's just, okay. So that can be a growth investment because what happens is a lot of investors, and this is how I think too, I value companies. I look 5 or 10 years out. And so I don't care about the valuation of the company today. I care about what the valuation is going to be in the long run. And so years ago, I owned LinkedIn before Microsoft bought them in the summer of 2016. And I owned Amazon for years and a bunch of other growth stocks. And people would always say, Chris, you're crazy. Those stocks are 100 times earnings. Why are you there? And I would say, no, maybe I am crazy. That's okay. But these stocks are not 100 times earnings. These stocks are 5 times my earnings estimate in 5 or 10 years. Also, there's valuation's egregious or lofty or high right now for a lot of stocks because it is a bubble. This is clearly a bubble. I'm not buying stocks now. I like to buy when everyone's freaking out, like in March of last year. Yeah. And interest rates are basically 0 too. So what's the alternative? Leave your money in the bank and make nothing? Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas is saying, just a suggestion. You can take your MBA program to new heights by putting a press release out. You just need to spend a few $100s and you'll get the desired attention. You need to ask 2 digital marketing agencies. Okay, cool. So yeah, the way it works with that sort of thing, you put a press release on your website and it hits some. I don't know. I don't know. I found for the venture capital companies, when I've been on the boards of companies, when you issue a press release, you have to get it in certain media publications. You have to kind of network that way as well. Yeah. But if you've done it and you have examples of you doing it, let me know. I'd love to learn from you with that. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah. All right. Cool. Next up, McCool is saying, how important is it to get acquainted with options trading compared to stock buying and selling? Yeah. So I would say when it comes to options, do it when you've been investing in stocks for years. And I'm creating a course on options, which will hit Udemy later this year as well. And for my MBA degree program students, I have a longer version, which is class number 89 this year. Yeah. Of 100 classes. Yeah. Each class is like 3 or 4 hours or less sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So, but when it comes to options, like I prefer that my students use options instead of shorting, like buy a put. So when you buy a put, the most you can lose is the amount of money you put in the put. When you short a stock, you can lose GameStop type money. The stock can go up forever, which basically bankrupted Melvin Capital, or almost did. We'll see what happens there. Yeah. Yeah. But I would say that options trading it makes much more sense, options and futures, for big companies to use if they need to hedge certain currency exposure they have, or commodity exposure. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas. Manas always got great questions. Love you, man. Manas is saying, "What's the progress for your TV studio? Hope all's going well." Yeah, thanks. So I'm morphing this into a television studio here as well, slowly but surely. I've been working on it for a couple of years. This is my 124th week of trying to get better and better and better. I'm getting there. So it's coming soon. Yeah, it's coming soon. So I'm trying a new thing now with standing up. I feel that, I don't know, like I feel that I'm a better teacher when I'm standing. Is that in focus? Okay, good. It is great. Yeah. So it's a work in progress, but it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. Anybody can start a studio in their house. All you need is cell phone and internet, which y'all have. Yeah. 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 But everything I do, I'll never spend a penny on anything. Like, I'm not going to advertise. I create content. I give. And then give new or receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. But when I do all this stuff, it has to be just me doing this. That's my rule. I want to be an army of one so that I can teach my students how to also be an army of one. Yeah. So when I do these live broadcasts, it's just me in here. Yeah. And let me make all the mistakes for you guys. You guys don't have to. Yeah. All right. And Manas wrote, "Thank you so much for everything. God bless you and your family forever and ever. See you next Thursday." Thank you. And I love all those icons. Thank you. God bless you more, brother. All right, cool. Harsh just wrote, "Please answer all question." So, Harsh, I do. I go through every question. I read everything. If you enter the question, I didn't see it. It could be because of two reasons. Number one, if you enter questions in 5 hours before the webcast starts, YouTube sometimes cuts them off. That's number one. Number two, if you enter in a web address, YouTube does not let me see it. I don't know why. Yeah. But I do answer every question. I read every item as well. Yeah. So if I missed yours for whatever reason, just paste it again. Yeah. All right. Next up, Peyton. Okay. Thank you, Peyton, for the timestamp. I'll remember that too. Thanks, brother. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Okay. And Dennis is saying, "What investments do you invest in the most?" Yeah. So the biggest investment for everybody should be real estate, meaning your own house. Okay. It's important because you get these amazing tax incentives to buying your own place. And also think about how much money we waste in rent. Like, I had to wait until my 30s before I could afford my first place. I lived in Manhattan, New York City. And it's tough to buy a place, but if you do it, let's say you spend $600 a month in rent. Well, if you bought a place instead of renting for 50 years, that's like $8 million. It's unbelievable the time value of money. Yeah. And I'm holding a webinar actually on February 19th. You guys will find out about it soon. It's a Friday. And I'm going to be giving away a course that's going to teach you how to become a millionaire as well. You got more details will come soon on that. Yeah. But it's, I think it's actually going to be 11 a.m. Friday, February 19th. And I'll give away that course as well as part of that webinar. And I'm kind of preparing for it now by doing this whole walking thing here. Yeah. So, yeah. And I got the idea for this from Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels. He has a lot of energy when he stands and walks. And I used to have tons of energy as well doing this when I used to teach live classes. Yeah. So, and I feel more energetic today as well. Maybe I'll do this from now on. We'll see. Yeah. All right. This is fun. Yeah. So, but everybody should buy their own house when you can. When you can. I know it's tough, but it took me to my 30s. It's the best investment you'll ever make because the alternative is rent, where you're flushing money down the toilet. Yeah. All right. Next up, Peyton, and I'm buying like a lot of more properties now as well, buildings and land and stuff, and yeah, Canada I'm focusing on mainly though. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Peyton is saying, and I'm making the complete real estate course coming out later this year as well, in an options course, and I actually have a course. I think it might come out in April this year. I'm not sure. With Matt Lacousse, who's one of my guys here, one of my employees, my partner in crime here. It's called and he's a scratch golfer. It's called the Complete Golf Course, something like that. Yeah, and that's not going to be a big money maker, but it's just fun. I don't care. All right. Next up, Peyton is saying, I definitely don't deserve that praise. You do, brother. You're the best man. Earlier on, I was talking about Peyton, how he was in the Navy for years. Young guy, he's accomplished so much at a young age. And he's writing this unbelievable book, and I love his posts on LinkedIn on business lessons from the Navy. Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you for serving and protecting our freedom. Yeah. Okay. But Peyton's saying, I'm doing 101 lessons I learned in the Navy. Awesome. I love it. And looking forward to our one-on-one today. Perfect. Yeah. And so Peyton and I have a one-on-one meeting today. He's my platinum program, and I'm looking forward to chatting with him. He's a good dude. Good dude. And Peyton, I'm using the same Sony camera you've got here for my A camera today. I think the coloring is off on it. Like if you look at the different angles, it's so hard to balance the color with different cameras from different makers. That's my Sony. Then I've got a Canon there. And then over here, this here is a DSLR, which you can see from this angle here. I'll show you. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So this here is a DSLR Canon here. Yeah. So, and this here, I've got a bunch of here. I have these remote controls like garage door opener things to make different paper rolls come down to change sets. That sort of thing. Yeah. Of course, green screen, which I don't use very much because I have green eyes, which sucks. Thanks, my Irish grandmother. I miss you, Grandma. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Peyton is saying The Last Dance with Michael Jordan is inspiring and motivational. I need to check up on Tiger Woods. And you said, does it touch his fall as well? Oh yeah, dude. This is it's unbelievable. The documentary on HBO on Tiger Woods. There's two parts to it. It's like at least 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. I'm almost done. It's unbelievable. But the pressure he was under because of his father, etc. It is fascinating. It is so well done. So well done. And of course, he had the affair. And everyone heard about that. And I remember one of my investors in venture capital years ago. I was introducing him to a lot of my portfolio companies, and I was talking to him, and I said, "What's your background?" And I found out that he actually played golf with Tiger Woods. They were buddies on the Pro-Am tour together, or whatever. And I said to him, my investor in venture capital, I said, "It's just terrible what Tiger did, cheating on his wife." And this guy said to me, he said, "Never judge a man until you walked a mile in his shoes." And I thought, wow, that's a different way of thinking. And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he said, and of course, cheating is terrible. And in business, don't ever trust somebody who cheats on their spouse because they're going to cheat you. But I asked him, I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, well, Chris, there's so much temptation with Tiger. And he said, "I have examples." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, tell me, please." He said, when we were like 18 or so, we were 19 or whatever it is. We were in Tokyo, and we were at a bar, and our Nike rep said to us, "Do you like blondes or brunettes?" And Tiger and this guy were like, "I don't know, blondes? What is this?" And then they went back to their hotel room. They were done for the night. And then at like midnight, where it was in their door, there was a knock, and there was like 5 blondes, and they turned them away. But it just, there's a lot of temptation. And so and of course cheating is wrong. It's awful. It's awful. But that changed my perception on how I think about Tiger a little bit. Never judge a man until you walk a mile in their shoes. Yeah. So, yeah, but he's a complicated guy. But I like him. Okay. All right. And Nicola is saying, Chris, thanks for the courses. You're most welcome. And so earlier on the webcast, I mentioned that go to my LinkedIn profile. I'm giving all my courses away for just a limited time. But if you do it, if you download my courses for free, I ask for one thing. That's it. If you have the money, find a way to donate to a local COVID relief charity or go to unicef.com. Yeah, to donate as well. And if you don't have the money to do it, then later on in life, when you do have the money, then donate, please, because we're all in this together. Okay. Next up, Maria is saying, hello, Chris. Hey, Maria. I hope you're doing perfect. I am. Thank you. I am. And my grandmother, God bless her, she was Mary, and my wife's mother is Mary. And I got to tell you a quick story of Paul McCartney. So for those of you that haven't seen Paul McCartney live, when this COVID craziness is done, you got to see him live, please. He's amazing. He's incredible. I took my son Dylan to see him. And what Paul McCartney did was when he performed here 2 years ago, when I saw him in San Jose, he talked about troubles he had growing up. And his mom died when he was younger, and her name was Mary. And he was so stressed out in his 20s with the Beatles, right? There's a lot of pressure. What you don't see is what's going on behind the scenes. And he was so stressed, and he had a dream. And the dream, his mom, Mary, came to him in his dream. And she said, don't worry, Paul, there will be an answer. Just let it be. Of course, that's the song. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. It's beautiful. All right. So Mary is saying, today I had a job interview and took with me all of your advice. I can't tell you now, but I had my best interview ever. And I just have to wait. And then you wrote, thank you. You're most welcome. I'm very happy for you. Oh, here's the follow-up you have to do. I'm sure you've done this already. So when you're interviewing with people, what happens is, that's not the most important part of their day. It is what it is. They interview you, then they do other stuff. And then when the day is done, they're like, what do I have to do now before I go home or stop working? Oh, I have to fill out this form, what I thought of this person. And they fill out that form. So you want to make sure that before they fill out that form, hopefully, you send a thank you email, because it will subconsciously make them a little bit more positive on you. So send them a quick thank you email, or thank you in mail, whatever it is. And in the thank you email, you keep it short. Subject line is thank you. Contents of the message is as follows. John or Joanne, whatever. Thank you very much for your time today, semicolon. I enjoyed our conversation. And if they asked you a question you couldn't answer, give a sentence on the answer to that question. And at the very end, you write, thanks again, Mary. That's it. It helps. It helps. All right. And best of luck, Mary. Keep me in the loop. Let me know how it went, please. And Mary's talking about the complete job course she took of mine. You can all get it for free, and all my courses for free, just for the next couple days or so. Just go to my LinkedIn profile and just go to one of my articles. You'll see how to get it. Thanks. Congratulations. Awesome. Okay. I love doing what I'm doing and helping people. And one quote I heard that changed my life was, somebody once said, a guy that's on the board of a charity with, said, don't expect to accomplish your dreams in life unless you help others accomplish theirs first. Because when one teaches, two learn. Okay. And then Maria is saying, yes, you're right about the confidence of American people, which I talked about before. Yeah. But it doesn't matter where they're born, though. Like, they can be born other countries, but when they come here, yeah. And then you wrote, not only in the economics, but also in archaeology. Oh, interesting. They always stand out. And then you wrote, for the record, I'm Greek. Okay, cool. And my wife is Greek. And her mom's name is Mary Triandafilides. right? Which means 30 flowers. Of course, in Greek, you know that. And that was the password on my American Express for ages, right? So whenever I had a problem with my Amex, whatever, I'd call Amex and they'd say, okay, let me verify it's you. What is the password? And I would say, triadefilides. And they would say, spell that. And I was like, really? I couldn't spell it. Yeah. But I'm wearing my flanella today. Yeah. My kids speak a little bit of Greek because of Christine, my wife. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next up. Christina, how are you? Oh, goodness. Christina is one of my amazing, unbelievable platinum MBA students. She is, and her husband is as well. And her daughter, Isabella, who's 7, who's awesome. Watches as well. And so Christina and I always compete. She always beats me with water. I know she can ask me. Oh my God, here it is. She said, good morning, Chris. Cheers to you. I'm at the 10 a.m. water line. Where are you at with your water? Yeah. Thank you. So right now it's 10:30 and I'm only at 8:45. It's terrible. It's awful. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. See, my students inspire me so much. I learn more from my students. They learn from me. That's for sure. Thank you. Okay. And then you wrote, I'm enjoying changing it up with your webcast standing up. And then you wrote, yes, emotion creates emotion. Tony Robbins said that. Yeah, you're right. Tony R. You're right. I learned that from him. And this is the exact same headset that Tony uses as well. And you get these to match your skin color as well. I don't know if I did the right thing. It's supposed to be an inch below here. So I haven't perfected it yet. Yeah. Work in progress. Kind of like everything I do. All right. Next up, we have Noah, who's saying, I donated to UNICEF. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Noah, for donating to UNICEF. I appreciate it. Then he wrote, thanks for the courses. Appreciate it. You're most welcome. But I should thank you for donating to UNICEF. Thank you. That does make a difference. Yeah. And let me show you guys just quickly here. UNICEF, okay? It's really easy to donate. So all you do is we go here. UNICEF. UNICEF.org. I said .com before. I should have said .org. Sorry about that. Yeah. But you just click, you click here, right? COVID relief for kids. Donate. It's that simple. There's a donate button. Done. Okay. Let me get back up here. Ugh. Okay. Thank you for donating to UNICEF. Okay. All right, next up. Nikki is saying, happy belated birthday. Thank you. And I got to thank Christina, Melody, and I can't, all of my tons of students that made that amazing YouTube video for me on thanking me from all over the world. God bless you guys. I love you guys so much. You guys inspire me. Yeah. So Nikki said, happy belated birthday. Thank you. Although I haven't attended your MBA program, I'm very grateful for your presence here. Thank you for your generous spirit. My pleasure. Remember, you can get all my courses for free next couple of days. Just go to LinkedIn and click on one of my articles. You'll see it there. Thanks. Yeah. Just donate to COVID relief if you can. Yeah. And if you can't today, then one day when you can. Thanks. All right. And Eileen is saying, Chris, your arm looks better. I'm glad that Dion helped. Yeah, Dion is awesome. So Dion is a doctor, one of my MBA students this year, and Eileen is a doctor, my MBA student last year. But it's feeling a lot better. Like what she did was this. She gave me a bunch of exercises too. But my posture is not good. And so what I always tell my kids is, especially because, the iPhone generation, pretend you have a softball or a grapefruit under whenever you're typing emails. So my posture is not great, but I'm trying to work on it. And so the exercise she gave me is this. She said, take your shrug like this, then open up your palms, and then let it go down, and then stop. And do that 10 times every hour. So she gave me that. She gave me a bunch of other exercises as well. She also said that I tend to and she's amazing. So she's on the Olympic team as well. She's in Beijing. She's awesome. But she also told me to stand a bit more forward as well. So she said this turn down, right? So just to improve my posture a bit. So I'm trying. We'll see. But dude, I told the whole world on January 1st that by February 2nd, 2022, when I turn 50, that I'm going to gain 20 pounds of muscle. So I vocalized the goal. I set a deadline date, and now I have to follow through and make it happen. But the setback in my shoulder, I'm still going to make it. I don't care. Yeah. Even if I have to roid up, I'm not going to roid up. I'm not going to do that. It's crazy. It's just crazy talk. But I've been consuming a lot of protein lately. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next up, we have Ankit Cha is saying, I've learned the MBA, financial analyst, investing in stocks like a pro course by Chris, and currently I'm self-studying the CFA level 1. What will my next step be to join a hedge fund? Thank you. Yeah. So what I would say is hedge funds, there's not that many jobs that open up, right? They never advertise, right? Hardly ever, right? They never say we're looking to hire people. It's all based on networking. So what you need to do is to set up a ton of networking meetings. Go to my website, harounventures.com, download this networking book for free. It's a couple hundred pages. I promise you it'll help out tremendously. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll help you find a plan B, but it will work. Okay. All right. Next up, Rose is saying, can you help me understand the difference between corporatocracy? I've never heard of that word. I guess that's corporation and bureaucracy versus corporatism. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I've never heard of those terms. Yeah, but I do know about bureaucracy. Yeah, and big companies. My wife works at a big company, and for Christmas, I got her a mug, and on the coffee mug it says, "I just attended a meeting that could have been an email." Yeah. Speaking of corporate bureaucracy. Okay, next up, Gary is saying, what would you consider the best share structure for an early stage company? Number of shares, reserve, state, country registration, considering taxes, fees, and likelihood of future funding. Yeah, absolutely. So whenever it comes to raising money or share structure, you have to talk to a lawyer first. Since you mentioned state, I'm assuming you're in America. So I recommend going to LegalZoom.com and setting up a meeting with a lawyer there. It will cost you $30 because it's a business call, $15 if it's personal, $30 for a call for 6 month subscription. I don't get comp by anybody. Yeah, and they'll help you out with that. In terms of where to register, I've done Delaware before because it's cheaper. And the reason people do Delaware is that you'll see it quite often, a Delaware registered company, is because when America was founded, you had a lot of lawyers that lived there. And since then, they know how to crank out legal documents and make it cheaper. It's just, and there's other tax reasons as well. Yeah. So in terms of the number of shares, usually you set the valuation of your company per share at like 15 cents or something. Okay. So whatever the value is of your company, divide that by 15 cents. That's the number of shares you're going to have. Okay. So anyway, that's what I would do. Yeah. But now when it comes to raising money, you need to be talking to a lawyer first to set up the investor offering memorandum and all that stuff. Yeah. And if you want to learn about how to create a term sheet before you talk to a lawyer, you can do a search on Wilson Sonsini, which is a law firm I've used here in the city when I worked in VC. You can do a search on Wilson Sonsini, term sheet generator, and that will kind of help you build a term sheet or a sample one, then get a real lawyer to make it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Akengja is saying, FYI, I bought the course on Udemy. Also, I have no high school or university qualifications. Yeah, cool. Well, if while networking, if you're having issues at all getting the job of your dreams, let me know on this weekly call. I will walk through walls for you. Okay. All right. Next up, Rose is saying, can a planned economy, meaning communism, can a planned economy exist in a democratic republic? Or does democracy automatically foster a free market or a mixed economy, in the same way that command economies thrive conjointly with socialism. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think so. I don't think that a command economy can be democratic. They're polar opposites on the political spectrum. Yeah. Okay. And I despise communism. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's why I love Ronald Reagan. God bless him. Best president ever. All right. Christina's saying, Chris, thank you for your great course, How to Vlog. Thank you. And I completed last Thursday night. I'll start creating vlogs. I love the format of you talking in Barcelona and hiking by the reservoir. Thank you. And you know what? It was all I did in that course. Like and for those vlogs, I winged it by just using an iPhone, nothing else, at least for the first half in Barcelona. I didn't have a gimbal holding it. I didn't have a special speaker thing or microphone thing, whatever. I just used it and I walked around, right? And the thing is, though, like when you vlog, you're going to find inspiration at the weirdest times. And you probably won't have all your best camera gear with you, right? Your Sony camera, which I know you have. You just got to be willing just to whip this out and just walk with it. And, it's just inspiration comes to the most bizarre times, always. Yeah. But you can capture lightning in a bottle if you have your cell phone with you. Yeah. Which we always do at all times. Yeah. All right. Next up, Jesus is saying, hey, Chris, do you teach something related to debating on either the MBA program or a dedicated course? Now, I mean, I teach you, I do teach you in the MBA program how to put together random thoughts in order to come up with an argument from a framework perspective. And I provide you with a lot of crutches and how to transition and talk about different things in terms of moving on to and what to do if you're rambling. The bottom line is I sort of teach in the MBA program. Yeah. Yeah. But I should probably add collective bargaining or something there as well. Yeah. But I do talk about sales, like little things like the second you feel like they're interested in the thing you're selling, stop talking right away. And the reason is because when you're selling something to somebody, if they like it, and you can read their body language that they like it, and you keep selling, then what's going to go through their head is this. Gosh, I love this product. Why does he keep selling it though? I want to buy it. Oh, he keeps selling it. Am I missing something? Why am I so lucky to be given this opportunity? Maybe it's a scam. Forget it. So anyway, those are my humble thoughts there. All right. Yeah. And Peyton wrote, Zelda is better than Mario. Sorry, Chris. Also, Link is better than Mario in Super Smash Bros. Okay, I'll give you that in Super Smash Bros. But no, he's not better. Yeah. Zelda is the princess, right? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah. Link is the dude. Yeah. Dude, you're going to love what we're going to be teaching in class soon. Because I do use a Zelda thing and a Mario thing. A little bit more Mario, though. Yeah. And the latest game I'm playing with my son Dylan on the Switch, there's this remake of this old Link game. And it's like two-dimensional. It's really cool. It is a good game, yeah. And then coming out the 12th of February, Nintendo, we do a big case study in the program on Nintendo. They're re-releasing one of their older Mario titles from the Wii U on the Switch, along with Bowser's Castle. Like there's this special Bowser add-on to it as well that comes out on the 12th. Yeah. It's great having kids. Yeah. The best is when your kids say, Daddy, can you help me out with this level in Super Mario Galaxy 2? Best game ever. And I'll fine, okay, I'll help you. Yeah. You get to be a kid again. And there's a new Star Wars game coming out on Lego we're going to play as well. It's the entire saga. Done with Lego. We'll play it on one of our consoles. Yeah. All right. Kartik is saying, since the water goes... Okay, so Kartik was saying before, don't drink water when you're standing. And then I asked why. And you said, since the water goes directly through, that requires nutrients and vitamins don't reach the liver and digestive tract. And then you said, this is because when you stand and drink water, it travels through the system really fast, and you risk your lungs and heart functions. The oxygen levels get distributed this way. So let me ask you this. Thank you. Is it better to not drink water at all when you're standing, or like, because I see a lot of athletes that stand, they drink water and stuff. Yeah. And I have to do it when I stand. It's because I stand all day. But thank you for the feedback, though. Thank you. I learn something new every day from my students. Yeah, very cool. All right. Next up, Christina is saying, Chris, did you see the previews of the amazing new Mario Land at Universal Studios Japan? Yeah. Yes, it looks dope on a rope. And then you wrote, I can't wait for NBA class case study field trip to Super Nintendo World and Hello Kitty San Reno. That's from the back of cars. People have the Hello Kitty thing. Yeah, we will be doing that. We will be doing it. We're going to have an event there when the world opens up. And we will be going to Tokyo for that. And I know that we have you and Satoshi and a bunch of other students that are from there as well, Kazu and a few others. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah. Looks awesome. Yeah. I can't wait till the world gets back to normal. All right. Next up, Harry is saying, Chris, just here to say you're a great guy and we appreciate you. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. God bless you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Pranav is saying, if I want to work in a long-short equity fund one day, what should I do right now at the age 15? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What did I do at your age? Yeah. I started investing in stocks at 13. So what I would do is I would read the Financial Times every single day, but just don't read articles on what stocks to buy. Just read articles on how the world works, like the macro stuff. Yeah. And what you can do if you want, like, 'cause I'm giving away all my courses free for a little while, is what you can do. Go to my LinkedIn profile. And then what you can do is one of my most recent articles. It just click through it and you get all my courses for free. I recommend that you take a course of mine called the Complete Financial Analyst course. It'll help you out a lot, I promise you. And it's based on stuff I used working at Goldman Sachs, working at some of the top hedge funds on the planet, my own hedge fund, venture capital, etc. It's fun too. A lot of dad humor, though. I have to apologize in advance. Yeah. And what you do in that course is you join a pretend company called Morgan Haroun Sachs. Yeah. So, and then you rotate through the different divisions of my company, my pretend company. Yeah. Okay. Harry likes my water bottle. Yeah. Dude, it helps, man. It helps. And again, Christina's doing the same thing, and a bunch of my other students as well. All right. We all motivate each other. Okay. Cool. All right. Next up, Pranav wrote, I'm very passionate about the markets, and I know for sure that is what I want to do when I grow up. Yeah. I was like that too when I was your age. So I would say that one thing that might get you interested also is television shows about hedge funds, so you can learn what not to do from an ethics perspective. Like there's a show Billions, you can watch that if you want to. There's also The Wolf of Wall Street, which is, maybe you're a bit too young. But my son saw it at your age, but ask your parents first. Sorry. But just to learn about what not to do and how you can easily go to jail by being unethical. Yeah. And it's a funny movie too. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did. Yeah. All right. And just take my Complete Financial Analyst course. That'll help you out. Yeah, you'll like it. Yeah, it's free anyway now for a limited time. Yeah. All right. Next up, Mohit. Oh, Mohit, how are you? I have there's a guy, Mohit Aaron, probably the smartest human being I've ever met. I was on his board. We led the Series B when I worked in venture capital. Sequoia led the Series A. His name is Mohit Aaron, Aaron, from Hypermed. He started a company called Cohesity, which is going to be a dynamite IPO soon. Yeah. But Mohit Kumar wrote here, and it's so funny because another company I was on the board of, or not on the board of, that I worked with, I invested in, Versa Networks. You got the Kumar brothers run that as well. It's network function virtualization. Smart guys, good dudes. But okay, now I'll answer your question. Mohit Kumar is saying, hello, sir. Chris, please. Thanks for helping me with all your content. My pleasure. You wrote, I'm from India. I want to study about stocks and how to invest in them. I'm a beginner. What should I read or do to understand it? Yeah. So take my complete financial analyst course, and you can get it for free. All my courses for free for a short amount of time. And if you have money and want to donate to COVID really causes, local ones for you, or COVID or even UNICEF.org, please do so. The way to get my courses for free is just go to my LinkedIn profile. All my courses are free for the next couple days. Yeah. And the only catch is this: if people watching this have the means to donate to UNICEF.org or to local COVID charities, please do so. If you don't have the means to do so, by all means, take the courses for free. But when you do make money and have some leftover money to donate, please do so as well. And don't donate through me. Just find a local charity or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, update on Rwanda. Vital, who's one of my amazing MBA students from last year, he and I started a charity to build schools in Rwanda. We raised a bunch of money, and I donated a ton to him. He's got enough to build the first school now. We haven't been able to do anything because of COVID, but Rwanda just lifted the COVID restrictions. So we're going to start digging, I think, in the next 2 weeks or so. So we'll be good to go. The first of many schools we're going to make. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, hello, Chris. My name is Rodrigo. I want to ask you about your thoughts about the current situation with crypto, especially about ADA. Thanks. Yeah. So I will never comment on individual cryptocurrencies. I do talk about ADA in my in the white paper and how to value it and stuff in my cryptocurrency course. But I provide you with a framework of 49 steps. You can take my complete cryptocurrency course. It's free for the next couple of days. Just go to my LinkedIn profile to get the course there. Yeah. All right. But when it comes to cryptos, I like to usually buy when people are freaking out, and people are not freaking out right now. So, as Warren Buffett said, you want to be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Yeah. I like to buy when there's blood in the streets and it feels really, really uncomfortable, which it doesn't right now. That's just me. Yeah. Okay. And Christina is saying, I love your stories about your grandfather regarding the cracked sink in Heinz 57, catch up, and especially about buying land since they don't make it anymore. Yeah, it's so true. Buy land. They don't make it anymore. And when it comes to any investment class, whether it's cryptocurrencies, commodities, land, whatever, you always have to look at supply, right? And like my grandfather said, buy land they're not making it anymore. There's a dearth or a limit of supply. Yeah. Especially with cryptos. When people do due diligence on cryptocurrencies, make sure you understand if there is a limit on supply. Meaning, like for Bitcoin, for example, there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin by the year 2140. Just understand the supply characteristics, everybody, please. Yeah. Okay. Question from Harsh is, when will the market crash? I don't know. I don't think of it that way. I think of individual stocks because you can't call the market. Nobody can. Just like you can't invest for the short term. And last year, yeah, the market was up a lot, but that's an anomaly. And a lot of people are basically saying, I'm just going to be a trader forever. It will all end badly. Please be careful, people. If you want to trade, that's cool, but look at fundamentals and valuation first. And then technical is a distant third. Yeah. When the market will crash, I have no idea. But there's that famous saying, which is the market can stay irrational longer than I can stay solvent. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Teshepo is saying, hey, Chris, I would like to find out how one can get into the business of crypto and blockchain other than investing in crypto. Yeah. So, I mean, you could go work for a big cryptocurrency company. So quite often the companies that do the best during bubbles or secular growth stories are the ones that supply the equipment. So in the late 1990s, when there's Internet Bubble 1.0, the companies that provided the equipment to a lot of the crappy internet companies like pets.com did well, like Cisco, ticker CSCO. Just like during the gold rush, The companies that made the axes did really, really well. Most people didn't mine any gold. It was fool's gold during the gold rush in 1849. What I would recommend is looking at maybe working for some of the exchanges or crypto wallet companies, etc. Like Coinbase, for example. You can look into that. Or anything the Winklevoss twins talk about when it comes to their exchanges, etc. Yeah. So there's a lot and to learn more about which of the service provider companies to work for and which ones are have the most market share, for example, go to CoinDesk.com. Yeah, that'll help you out. Yeah, and use the products first before you apply to those companies as well. Yeah. All right, and then Dario from Italy is saying, "Hey Chris, thank you for sharing these amazing weekly webcasts. You're most welcome. You're most welcome." Okay, and then your question is about ARC funds. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. Yeah. All right, cool. And Harry wrote, "Army of one, let's go team." Awesome. Thank you. Oh. So we got 5 minutes left, and then I've got for MBA students only office hours, my gold and platinum students at 11:20, and then one-on-one. So I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions. There's usually a bunch of extra ones. So what you can do is if you're my MBA student in my gold or platinum program, ask me during our call at 11:20, or if you're not, then just copy the questions and then ask me next week, please. Thanks. Okay. All right. Pratik is saying, thanks for answering my question. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And then Peyton wrote, it's time to switch to all Sony. Yeah. This is my Sony camera here. And then I've got, over here, I've got, this is my Canon, a C300 Mark II. And then over here, this here is my 5D. But I can't, and the reason I'm showing you is I can't get the color to match all of them together, right? So, for example, this is Sony. This here is an older C300. Matching the color is impossible. It's really hard. It's tough. Yeah. But it's I'm a Canon guy because my dad is. Whatever your dad uses is usually what you are. You're Canon or Nikon because your parents, but I got to say Sony is doing a great job. I am tempted to go all Sony. Just the face detection is ridiculous to the extent that it detected my kids' faces and not me for a while, so I had to play around with it a bit. But it's been great. Yeah. All right, but I'm still learning. All right. And Harry said, the energy is great today, Chris. Thank you. Dude, that's it. I've decided right now, I am never going to teach or do any of these classes ever again sitting down. That's it. This webcast, every week from now on, I will be standing because I have more energy this way and more passion. And I did get criticized it was getting stale the other way. Yeah. So that's it. Tony Robbins, when he teaches or whatever, he's not sitting down. That's it. From now on. I should get rid of the chair in here completely. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Christina said, Chris, I just added Carolina and Raphael's Netflix film, Invisible City, to my list. To watch with Christian this holiday long weekend. It's exciting since Christian is half Brazilian and he speaks Portuguese. Yeah, and dude, I'm so proud of Carol and Raph. They're amazing. They're amazing, and oh my God, like dream come true. What she's done, what they've both done. They're amazing. They're unbelievable. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. And I'm actually I might be making a Netflix show. A half-hour one in the next year or two. I'll tell you guys more details when it becomes available. Yeah. Okay. Aditya is saying, hi, Chris. Hey, Aditya. Hope all is well. All right, great. All right. And then next up, Akengja is saying, the most genuine and crazy mentor is Chris Haroun. I agree about the crazy part. Yeah. You're a living legend. No, God bless you. Thank you. And then you wrote, words are not enough to appreciate the works you've done. Thank you. Thank you once again. I thank you for making this possible. This would not be possible without my wonderful students. Thanks. And I'm a teacher that treats my student like they're the customer. Imagine that. Imagine a teacher treating a student like they're the customer and the student pays. Like, that's the problem with teaching in general is people. I love teachers. A lot of them are great, but a lot of teachers I had in the past would talk down to me. You know, and the role of a teacher should be to boost confidence. You know, not to talk down to somebody else and all that stuff. And I remember there's one university I taught at during the evenings, and it would drive me crazy. I would go into the staff room, and there was this us versus them mentality of the teachers just saying, "Can you believe what that student did?" That sort of thing. I was like, dude, those are your customers. Yeah. So, all right. So that is my alarm. I got to wrap it up here. So I want to thank you all for this first webcast I've done standing up. From now on, I will do standing up from now on. I feel like I have a lot more energy this way. Within a couple hours of this class being done, one of my amazing employees who I met on this weekly webcast, named John Klee from Rochester, what he's going to do is he's going to put together a list of all questions asked at what times. So you can go to the description field to be able to get access to the answers, the questions quickly. Oh my God, I'm not talking well. If you're in my Platinum and Gold MBA program, I'll see you at 11:20 a.m. today for office hours. If I didn't answer your questions, ask me then. Or if it's somebody that's not in one of my programs, just ask next week. If you follow my vlog and subscribe to me, I'll see you tomorrow and every day at 9 a.m. my time. That's when my vlogs drop. Otherwise, God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. God bless you, and thank you very much.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.